Has to come on.
No, yeah, appreciate it. Yeah, and I mean, so I've dealt to a lot of these players, of course, you have too, but you've really played with a lot of these players, so you can really offer a lot of insight in terms of like what their mindset might be in certain spots, and what they might be thinking. So let's get into the action right here.
They're doing the. I think they're doing a $50 flip here, or $100 flip, one or the other. It's like 50.
Yeah, I hope everyone in the chat is excited for our special 5-5 straddle PLO stream tonight. It's been a while since we've done a PLO stream, and we think we've got better get back in the mix of things. And looks like they're starting off with a flip, and it looks like the flush is going to take it here. Queen high flush for Dustin.
So how much you giving?
And this table is chock full of regulars here. Seat 1, Faisal. Seat 2, JP, the organizer of the stream, actually. I think he requested certain players, certain dealers even, for our live stream. Seat 3, Rebecca. Probably a high-low expert, but, decided to hop into the PLO streams here. Clarence, seat 4. Seat 5 is going to be filled by YL, I believe, also known as Jimmy. Seat 6, Mike. Seat 7, Dustin. Seat 8, Ryan, a.k.a. Rye Guy. And seat 9, Gary, also known as GMM, here in our room. So a lot of regular players here. And right off the bat here, it's going to be 5-5-10 with a $20 double straddle, it looks like. It's a lot of action already to start off here.
Carter, your chips don't go there. This isn't the jackpot of chalk.
Yeah, I can tell you this is quickly going to probably turn into a 5-10 quarter straddle if I had to guess. Probably an hour in or so. Yeah, I know these guys, a few of them are going to be like, hey, everybody's going to do a quarter.
With the hands, I mean, the hands are going to be pretty rough to read, I imagine, pre-flop, because I imagine we're going to see a lot of multi-way action. So I imagine we'll try to keep our commentary limited to maybe some of the heads up or maybe three-way action, but it's just there's no way of really commentating on the even the strategy, right? 6 ways.
Correct, because especially pre-flop, unless you're getting these all-in situations, the equity, as you've heard before, is probably pretty close. As in Dustin just crushed that flip to the top set.
Yeah, top set on a pretty dry board here. Obviously, a very obvious Broadway draw. Anyone could really have the 9-10, King 10, Ace 10, and it looks like JP will pot it here on the flop.
Dustin is probably going to check raise here. He called. Okay, he's got it locked.
Yeah, interesting that he just decided to call on that flop, given that, I mean, hands like Ace King 10 has a lot of equity, right?
A lot of hands can continue there, so I can see both his thought on both. Let a card peel, maybe a safe card, and then take over. Or because they're not super deep yet, I thought I would lean more on the strategy of just pressing it,
raising and just try to get it in against,
especially being out of position.
Another set.
Yeah, in this game,
like Queen Jack.
Yeah, in this game, position is everything. So it's just hard for him to maximize after the turn of river. He's a decent enough player to where, like on a turn like that, he's just
not going to continue with any straight draw.
Exactly, right? And they're not too deep yet to where it would be a mistake for him to check raise there. He can get most of the money in on the flop. JP probably still folds just because he has a gutter and a backdoor flush draw, but I think that probably would have been the I thought he might do that, or if he didn't want to check raise, just go ahead and leave the flop, or do something like that. But,
nice pot there for Dustin to start off the action here.
Why you raise that shit?
It was pretty standard though. Like that's pretty standard.
Welcome everyone in the live stream chat. We got all our usual suspects in here: Jedi Master Ted, TLS6362, Rena, JTMNY, Frank, Kicker Problems. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Hope you all are ready for a little bit of a different stream here. PLO 5-5 straddle.
She wakes up with ace 5-5.
All right,
suit. That's pretty good suited to the ace of clubs. It's pretty strong.
And we were talking about a few of our players here, where their strategy tends to be pretty loose passive pre-flop, and then really just trying to see what they can do on the flop to navigate, or maybe even try to represent something that they don't have. Interesting flop here is I see two hands with flush draws.
So this is actually an interesting flop with Becca hitting a set of fives. There's a lot of bad turn cards, so I could definitely see her slowing down and just calling here.
Yeah, no reason I think to raise. I don't, in my
Yeah.
opinion. I mean, I don't really play PLO that often, but without any backdoor equity, you're really kind of
Depends how much variance you want to enter in your life. It's again, because they're not super deep yet. It wouldn't be the worst. It wouldn't be. It would. I don't think it'd be a mistake if she wanted to get it in here. I personally wouldn't. But see, that's good. The way she played it is probably how I would play it.
call
Call.
flop and then
Because she has position.
yeah.
So when you're in position, you just have more options. PLO in position is important in Hold'em, but I think it's 3 times more important.
3
than
times.
PLO. Oh my goodness! Like if I did an experiment once where it's like I literally just played the button in one session,
Mavs play it at 6:30.
and
Oh yeah, Mavs.
it like
Texas plays tonight.
you win. Like you
You
can
had a
literally just
profitable day today.
you can literally just play the button in PLO. It of course is going to cap how much you can win, but I just wanted to see what would happen, and yeah, it's so powerful.
You're probably a little surprised, actually, right? Like probably more so than you thought. How important the button was.
Yeah, well, I knew it was super important, but like it was more of also a practice session for me in terms of forcing myself to try to stick more hijack cutoff button.
Taking it easy.
Watch Ozarks.
Usually, if you stick with those positions, you can open your range up a little bit more. You have a hijack and cutoff. You have a greater chance, especially if you're raising to gain the button, depending on who's behind you. So it was more of just a practice thing, and I was surprised, but it was still a winning session. I was like, oh, okay.
That's a good anniversary present.
On to the next hand here. Obviously, because it is 4 cards instead of 2, we're probably going to see significantly less hands. So it's even more important, right, for these players to be more selective with their hands, right? Because in the same amount of time that you'd see premium hands in a 2-card game, you're seeing half of those hands, right, in 4-card games. So
Even less. So
or even less, right? Yeah.
Vacation last week, 50.
so-
we did look at fakes.
not even going to use the standard ace ace jack 10. That's
They eliminated
rare.
fakes.
So like a hand like jack 10, 9, 8 double suited. A hand that premium, like you probably see. If I'm playing a full week, you probably see that once, maybe twice
Wow.
in a week, playing 6 hours on average, 5 to 6 hours a day. So because the combinations is so much different, it's either a little bit more, or a little bit less, but there's like 225,000 combinations of hands in PLO. So it's just it's crazy. So that's the reason why as you get more experience, you want to get a little bit more creative with your hand selection, because you'll just be sitting, you think you've seen a rock at Hold'em. Wait till you see a rock at PLO, because all they do is try to find premium hands. You can have a very boring time playing like that.
Right, and obviously, if you're playing, say, in a, I mean, for our viewers out there that may not have access to hourly rooms and they're playing in a rake environment, that's even probably more detrimental to them. If you're only waiting for the high, like the top premium hands.
It depends. So if you come from an underground background where the rake is high, that strategy actually can serve you well, especially if you're not playing deep. So on an underground 2000 probably isn't that deep. So if you can wait for an ace-ace suited and like 2 of those cards are connected hand and you can get it in pre-flop, you can triple up.
That might be your one hand for the session.
Exactly, and you only paid a $50 rake, and you tripled up. I've back in the day, I personally had a few of those nights where I literally made a $4,000 or $5,000 profit and played 2 hands. So it depends on your environment for sure. This environment actually is very conducive to a player that wants to play more aggressive, because you're not giving the money back. The money is staying on the table. So if you're a loose, aggressive player, these rooms are gold mines for you.
That might be why I imagine
What do they call you?
PLO has gone so popular in our room in the last 8 months. Right? We've gone. I tell people all of this all the time. We probably went from having 1 to maybe 2 tables consistently to having 5 tables consistently on a weekday, right? Which is just insane.
And a lot of these people, they also they just want to play in an environment they feel safe. It's pretty quiet for the most part. Like there's rarely any drama here. They just want to be, they just want to play poker. They don't have to deal with crazy stuff. And I think Texas Card House provides that in spades. So.
All right, so we're gonna have a 5-way flop here. Again, we're probably not gonna bother dissecting the hands until it breaks down a little bit. Okay, I see King 10-3. Multiple players with gut shots.
JL top set. Yeah.
JL with the top set, also known as Jimmy. Excuse me, I think I said YL. His name's actually JL. Is it King 6-6?
Yeah, he crushed it.
So he just flops essentially the nuts
It's
here.
gonna be a bet, yeah, fold all the way
Button's
around.
correct.
It's a lock. So lock. This is what you call a locked board in PLO. So when you get boards like this, either two people hit really strong, or one person hits really strong, and they bet and take it down. It usually is a flop. Someone bets on the flop or the turn, and the hand's over. A monotone board is not as locked, but
You have to be wary here.
yeah, you still get some of those same results. But if you hit the nut flush or the ace high flush blocker on a monotone board, you're still likely to still get some action. It's not as locked as it would be in fold, per se, in a multi-way spot.
We do have dealer Brittany tonight dealing our PLO stream. Very solid dealer for the stream.
I ain't gonna tell you what he told me to go
Known
do.
Brittany for years. She's a very good dealer. Doesn't make too many mistakes.
Which is definitely something you want in a game like this.
Oh yeah. Just from a hand perspective, you're getting half to 2/3 of the hands you would see in Hold'em. So having dealers that don't make mistakes is very important, because per half hour down, you're probably seeing 9 to 12 hands, depending on how deep the hands go. So it's very important.
It looks like Faisal will pot it here with the ace, deuce 6, double suited. Pretty solid hand here. Obviously, that 6 would probably be a better holding, but 2 suits, I don't think you can really complain there. And we'll take it down here.
Yeah, pretty standard there. Nothing really to report on that one. That was pretty standard.
I didn't look at my hand pre-flop, so
So, I mean, I haven't done too much studying, I'd say. It's like minuscule. To the few strategy things I've looked up on PLO, that I think I've seen some people say, like, with certain hands, like rundown hands, you want to obviously correct me if I'm wrong, but it's like rundown hands you want to be you're more likely to play multi-way or want to play multi-way, or than like
Okay,
hands that
so
you consider premiums and hold them like aces or kings, you want to play as much heads up as possible.
it depends. So
It depends. Okay.
I'd say I'm usually more aggressive with my rundown hands, the ones that are like 9, 8, 7, 6 type hands and above. Just because if multi-way, when you have a suit, the more multi-way it is, the less that suit matters. They more become blockers at that point. You're not really relying on that suit in the multi-way spot. So this is also a good way to widen your 3-bet range, so people don't just automatically put you on ace-ace blank, because when they can just automatically put you on ace-ace blank,
You're never going to get any action with the ace.
oh no, you're going to get action, but it makes they can play you perfectly.
Right.
It makes it much easier to play
They
you.
know which flops favor you. They know
Exactly.
which flops favor them.
And you can expand. You can add these to your. This is one of those type of hands you can add to your range that'll make you a little bit more tougher to play against. And you're trying to get those kind of hands heads up, because get dead money in there. Especially you're trying to get dead money in there, because now
They bought all my drinks and dinner.
you have enough equity to where, yeah, you can do whatever.
It looks like we got our first heads up pot of the night
wow.
here. Dustin against Rye Guy. I know these guys are pretty good friends here.
Yeah, this is Dustin probably will.
Dustin with a massive amount of equity here. Flops double flush.
Yeah,
Returns double flush.
Yeah, you
draw.
can't check anymore. Yeah, you can't check in here, and they're not really gonna play each other too tough. So in that spot, Rye Guy might have stabbed on the flop for someone else, but Dustin's a really good player, and he knows that he'll peel there with a wide range of hands.
You don't want him to outdo
With
the
him
other
not really hitting that board,
it's not really
he played it pretty much how I would play it against Dustin. Just check fold. Just trying to
Yeah,
just
we
trying to
sure
move
can,
on.
can't we? Let's go.
We have any new viewers joining us here tonight. Welcome to our special Wednesday stream here. 5-5 with a straddle PLO. 4-card game. You're going to hear commentary from Derek and special guest commentator Alfred, one of our dealers here at TCH Dallas. Also plays a lot of this game. week to week. I imagine any week you come here at TCH Dallas, you can probably see Alfred dealing or playing this game here at TCH Dallas. I tell them that all the time when I'm commentating. I'm like, if you come here any day of the week, you could probably find me here either dealing, commentating, or playing. Like, one of the three.
Pretty much. Took a few days off last week just to reset the mind, but yeah, I'm usually in here playing or dealing. That's pretty much.
Did he say 40?
40.
It looks like Gary M did pot it in the cutoff here with the King 9-5-3 double suited.
So pretty loose, but I get what he's trying to do. He's trying to gain position, which is what he did. So it allows him to play the hand a little bit more easily.
Clarence here going to turn the second. I guess actually technically the third nuts here.
Yes, this is going to be a. Yeah, they just don't have enough to do anything with. This is going to be a fold spot for sure.
Just tried.
Yeah, it's one of those spots where people just don't hit enough to do anything there.
See a question here in the chat, Reginald Cottrell. How often do they PLO?
Every day, 24/7.
Yeah, in the card room every day. In terms of the stream, we haven't done it probably for a few months, but if this is something that interests you, let us know in the chat if you'd like to see more PLO streams.
Yeah, in my opinion, I think PLO is once you. To me, I try to explain to people like it's like the Matrix. Like, once you've done it enough, all you see is redhead, blonde. It's the same thing. You have to get yourself used to it. But in my opinion, it's the funner game. You get professionals, but they're much few and far between, and you don't get those quiet tables where everybody's Hollywood. It's a much more lively table. People are talking to each other. It almost has that home game feel where you just get to loosen up a little bit and have some fun. I think it's a great game.
Which fun is a huge part of poker, or should be at least, right?
You played this game to have fun. When you first started playing this game, everybody got in this game
for fun.
For fun.
Yeah. So if you wanted the game to grow, then you should try to create such as fun of environment as possible.
Correct. That is in PLO, especially with the right crowd. You'll have some incredible memories that you'll never forget. It's awesome. I love PLO.
The nuts here for Becca on the turn, and it's so incredible here because obviously I mainly commentate over no limit streams. So when you see the percentages change this drastically from card to card, it just that boggles my mind. Like
that's why the mistakes are usually bigger on the turn and river, because equities become much more defined on the flop. It's still equities are pretty divided usuly, unless it's a lock board. But on a dynamic flop like Jack 8-4, and you have top set, you can still fit a
right with, but then there's like a flush draw, and then the turn comes another club, bringing two flush draws.
Yeah, you can still be in a pretty tough spot, even with top spend on a wet board. It's a very dynamic game.
Got another question here from Marina. Will there be streams next week during the cruise? Absolutely. Just because I'm going out of town doesn't mean the stream production won't be happening.
The show must go on.
Yeah, the show must go on. There's definitely going to be streams next week. And Reginald, yeah, we'll definitely keep that in mind if PLO streams interest you, because I know we have a lot of players. We'll have the player pool for it, for sure. It's just a matter of if there's enough interest on our stream.
We get just the pure PLO, not even including the bomb pod games. We get usually 4 1-2s going, if not 5, and the 5-5's been making pretty regularly lately. So
which is really great.
Yeah. You get a bunch of PLO every day. Like there's always a PLO game going at TCH 24/7.
So I believe we had a straddle, and then I believe a double straddle, and then a blind raise.
We had to do 3 blind raises to get them all.
Oh no, 3 blind raises. Excuse me.
Okay.
And honestly, that's one of the few games we would typically see this is PLO, is the blind raise, right? Because instead of, I mean, I guess in our room we don't allow double straddles on the floor, so you'll see the blind raise a lot if they want to do something pre-pot.
You usually see it more in deeper games. They're still pretty shallow right now, so turning it into a 2040 game and
Carter's playing
can use a lot of action pre-flop that you wouldn't normally see.
He's marinating the game right now.
So it's I'm surprised they're
first
doing it this early, but yes, especially in the 5-5 game, you
the only
see
one that
that
blows.
a lot. But
So yeah, I won't even bother reading off the hands yet until we clear off some players here. It looks like we'll start to check around here. Gary M with the nut flush draw. This can take advantage of that. Potting the flop here. Faisal.
This is
Top pair.
this is a very
In one hand.
dynamic board, so he can expect to get a lot of action on a board like this. So it's one of those spots where he's kind of committing himself here a little bit, but
JP here going to make the call with the open ender and second pair. Backdoor hearts.
usually on a board like this, he probably would have got 2 or 3. So it's this is very successful for him to actually get it down to a heads-up situation.
Wow, and look at this turn card here. Going to give JP trip 7s.
Yeah, there he goes.
It's going to be a check from Gary and an all-in from JP. What a turn card. The offsuit 7 to give him trips. And probably the pot. And yes, indeed, Gary will fold.
But you see how JP didn't slow down there with trips because Gary still has equity there. In PLO, you are trying to deny people their equity as much as possible. You'll hear a lot with PLO players. I never give a free card. That's very important. You don't want to be giving free cards away in this game because one, it makes you tougher to play against. Two, you get people to fold their equity there when he actually probably I didn't see the percentages, but if I'd guess with what he
I think
had
he
left,
had like 30%.
he had enough equity probably to just go ahead and see the river. But because the board paired and JP was aggressive there, he takes on the pot.
7-7.
Yeah, and the thing about PLO, right, it's like because even though, or it's a game that's harder to realize what your equity actually is, right? Because paired card on the turn, he might just have the boat already, and then you might be drawing dead. Right?
Depends on the player.
Well, that's the thing, though, right? It's so hard to figure out with that 2 additional cards. It's so much harder to figure out where your hand even is within the realm of the other cards. It's just
there's
such a difficult game.
There's some players, if they put in 2/3 of their stack, they're not going to care what the turn is. Which is another great thing about PLO is you have players that are there they didn't come here to fold. They're there to see the river. If they have a draw they like or a hand they like, they didn't come to fold. So
it looks like we have a call from JL. Dustin going to raise it to 225 with the king double suited.
Yeah, it's pretty standard raise. This is what you call premium kings. So,
and then a defend from JL with the queen double suited. This time,
if I was Dustin, he probably should be betting here. This is actually a board he can pretty much represent. It's way ahead or way behind spot. There he goes. He does bet, which is what I would do in this spot. He has, and this is something Hold'em players can realize. I have more aces than my opponent. I have more ace kings than my opponent.
Sure.
In this spot, he has all the sets,
all the aces,
all the 8. Yeah, so it's one of those spots that he can make it really tough on JL in that spot to continue.
Yeah, like
the
only reasonable hand I think JL would have in that spot, right, would be probably pocket aces with no suits that would just decide to just call pre-flop.
No,
or do you think those hands would
because they're so shallow. Even with bad aces there, if you can get it heads up.
He probably would have pre-popped it there.
Yes. Bad aces, like this is one of those games. If you can get more than half your stack in pre-flop and you think you can get it heads up, you really don't need to overthink this game. You're just trying to get it in. And that's one of the reasons why I like to play a little bit deeper because people make bigger mistakes. But when it's shallow, because the equities are so close, usually the worst you can be is a 70-30 dog. But that's usually the worst case heads up. So if it's shallow enough and you can get your hand in with a hand where you know you have a little over 50% equity, and you get in heads up, you ship it.
Interesting spot here. Boyd going to open the action with the ace single suit 9-8, and then Rye Guy with the ace king.
This is going to create some fireworks. Oh, I'm surprised.
He just decided to call here, and a pretty big flop actually for both Rye Guy and Boyd.
Oh, yep, Boyd. Yeah, he does. Yeah, Boyd is. Boyd does not like getting it in pre-flop.
That's fine.
He likes to see a lot of flops.
Right here for
so
you.
I'm not actually surprised he's smooth called there.
So let's see here. Rye Guy still has a gut shot to the nuts and backdoor spade. So I imagine he'll continue here for at least one bet.
Yes, I do too. Oh,
Oh, he has a raise. This is very interesting here.
I don't know if it's going to get through because he has the open ender with backdoor flush
How
draws.
much?
And you can look at the equities here. Very, very close on the flop. 41% for Rye Guy. Boyd, 59%.
Yeah. Right eye still has the
Did y'all
gutter.
bring a doggy
Hit a
bag
king.
back
He has
from
backdoor
River
flush draw.
We have some leftover shrimp, or not shrimp, wings.
And Boyd does have the open ender.
Yeah. Right guy's ace is
That is
dead,
fair,
so
unlike you.
the equities are this close because the card reader is reading what's left in the deck, but the equities, and if you're just figuring your equity
Merry
Tell you
Christmas.
something. If it's with just
like without that information, it's further away for
I
sure.
invited Basil, I invited JP, I invited Clarence.
It's probably
not
more in
one
that
of them.
70-30
Only Faith showed
range.
up.
And right off the bat here, we have a massive pot, $3,400 pot between Rye Guy and Boyd. Boyd currently in the lead. Let's see what the turn card brings. Oh, and right on the turn. Oh, right on the turn. No sweat, no backdoor, anything. Rye Guy hits the nuts.
I was trying to give it away.
Wow.
Wow,
I
and
saw that
Boyd,
40%. I was like, he's gonna hit a queen.
yeah, I was like, that's a lot of percentage.
Yeah.
So I guess the percentage in the 41% is taking in the queen, the king, and then the
It's
backdoor
taking-
equity.
Yeah, it's taking into account that there's a lot of space still left, and the queen is probably like 3 queens.
Golly.
But that's why. But if you don't have that
Well, you need to ask
information, right guy
Mal-
knew
ask
he was
Mallory.
at that spot. You can tell by his expression.
She's got a list.
He knew his equity was like without that information is more like 25 to 30%.
So much for the old.
But it was one of those
24
spots where they were so short that he made the correct decision math-wise, where it's like, oh, yeah, I got to get in here. Once he raised there and them being that short, there's no other decision but to call.
And that might be it for Clarence, unfortunately. GG's in the chat for him. I think that's going to be it for him. We're going to get a new player shortly, hopefully.
I'm surprised. Clarence usually is not a one-and-done kind of guy. He's usually an all-nighter kind of
That's
guy.
so pure all the
Yeah, he came ready with a drink in hand, too.
You got to try a lot of times.
Very quick night for
You gotta
Clarence,
keep trying.
unfortunately. Ran his aces into the ace-king-king
Yeah,
of
a big one.
Rye Guy. Got a lucky turn there. But, I mean, obviously, as we could see on the flop, the percentages were quite close, 60-40. Obviously, Rye Guy probably thought it was a lot worse than a 60-40, thinking maybe Clarence could have a set.
Right guy is actually a good enough player where versus a player like Clarence, he would have gotten. He could, if he would have played his aces
You
like
said let's play a
I
big
would have
one.
played them there.
I told it.
Versus that player, he knows he pretty much would be heavily weighted to aces. He probably could have got away from that hand. Ace King is one of those awesome situations why when you're not playing deep yet, it's one of those situations where he probably would have just been better served to play his hand straight up. Rye Guy is a pretty good player. He's very good at hand reading. He probably would have just released it pre-flop.
That's a pretty bad
I had to
start to
guess.
this hand.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think Boyd did pot it pre-flop.
Boyd potted it pre-flop.
Yeah.
Okay, so Rye
Yeah.
Guy smooth call.
He just smooth balled it.
That's surprising.
Yeah, that's why it just went so. They were so deep going onto the flop because
That's why.
it's a single raise pot.
Okay, well, actually, it's not surprising. Right guy's out of position. That makes sense. Okay. No, that actually makes sense because he doesn't want to be caught in a bloated spot, out of position, with a very. I guess it's one of those. It's a hand where you either hit hard or you don't.
Man, it's such a weird game. I swear I saw a Rye Guy with like 10% equity on the flop, and now he has 93%.
Oh, he hit his.
His set, yeah. Or he had like 20% or something. Now he has 93. So I don't understand this game, guys. I mean, that's why. No, that's like when I talked to you. Like last week? I was like, Alfred, I need you here because I don't know this game.
The percentages are really messed up because the card readers. It's taking into account what's still in the deck, what's
Christian
not.
thing, the Christian thing to have
Looking
done
at those
while ago,
hands,
Dustin,
he would have been a dog, but not.
the Christian thing to
Not,
have done.
not, it wouldn't have been 10%. He should have had more equity.
He might have been like 25 or something.
Yeah,
Thank-
20,
yeah,
25.
obviously, you haven't seen him play lately. Make
yeah.
the D-Dogs belly up. Oh, nice.
All right, so we are going to be continuing this game 8-handed.
At them.
I guess going on that topic of conversation,
Yeah.
I do know another player that likes. Oh, he also deals here. He likes to play a lot of PLO as well. Ryan, the group. He really likes PLO. He says his preference is six-handed PLO. Do you have a preference on full ring
Yes.
versus six-handed, versus maybe even
He
less?
played tight.
I like four-handed.
Four-handed. Okay, so even
no,
less.
No, six-handed. No, you're right. No, he's right. Six-handed. I'm thinking of cards.
Okay.
Six-handed PLO is they're different games.
You've
So
watched the ones
six-handed
you've been
PLO,
on.
Never.
like in
Yes, you
Hold'em, you
have.
can see more flops.
We've talked
You're in
about
position.
them.
You see your position more. You have there's more hands you can play. You can play a wider range. You can play a wider range of hands. It's definitely a game I love. Nine-handed, you got to play it different. You have to keep it a little bit closer to the vest.
Because you're probably gonna be involved in more multi-way pots.
Exactly. So, just like this is one of those fundamental rules in poker. The more, if you're one of the better players, the more hands you can see, the more your profit's probably going to go up. That's
Can't see very well.
so. Yes, six-handed is definitely a game I like. So, but it's live. It's just not. It's not conducive to, especially to this environment.
Yes, in a business where you want to fill seats.
Imagine that.
Exactly.
Couldn't imagine why.
But yeah, no, I like six-handed a lot. Yeah.
Said I didn't
See what happens
realize
here. Looks like
that,
Ryan is trying to raise the isolate with the
E.L.
10,
Howard
10, 9,
Elementary
8
School gave
double
out
suited.
nurse
Pretty
practitioner.
That's pretty hand there.
That is exactly what he's doing. It's premium, but it's also because of its suitedness, being lower, like not higher suit.
You want to be trying to get it
Heads
heads up as
up.
They ought to
possible.
put your name
And
on
then he
the door,
flops the
'cause I ain't
set.
seen the stock yet that I've
Flops in right off the bat.
I should just be paying
Nuts here for Rye Guy. But as you can see here, still decent amount of equity for players like Gary.
They drew blood that day.
Like he
They missed
down
the
bet
main a couple
just
of
a little
times.
bit.
Turn's just going to give him the world here.
Yeah. Ooh, this actually might keep Gary, and he turns a gutter in a pair of sevens. Gary might peel another card here.
I was gonna make some dinner tonight and bring up.
He
here.
will,
They're not
yes.
set up where you can
Yeah,
eat.
I thought that card might
No place where you can put stuff out. where you
might
can
keep
eat.
him in.
I mean, you know what I mean?
Gary actually, no, he won't get a chance to stay. Right, guys, too. Yeah, hand is over. I think this right guy might check call here, turn his can into a bluff catcher,
Remember that. In a minute.
and
Michael gets one of them.
no, he's going to try to get value. That's a
baseball
hard
calls and he
spot to
runs
get
out.
value from.
Actually,
So the front door hearts do miss, but there are backdoor diamonds available. It
Yeah.
looks like Gary's going to just call with a straight, possibly.
Yeah, actually,
Straight to
yeah,
the 10.
that's what he's targeting. Yeah, he down bet 300, so he bet, what is that, a quarter of the, little more than a quarter of the pot.
300 into
Yeah.
1100. Yeah.
That was a good down bet by Rye Guy to get some value for his flush.
The other
Yeah,
night I got $10
Masterly played there by Rye
Yeah.
Guy to get value on every single street.
Yeah.
You know, kind of sized down on the flop, sized up on the turn, and then bet the same amount on the river that he bet on the turn. So really know exactly what he's trying to target, which is he's trying to target exactly a straight there.
Exactly.
Any nine, or any six pairing a card on the board, or any nine with a six.
If Gary could have recognized that position, that's one of those spots where blockers don't matter as much.
You're so
that-
often losing to
That down
another
bet is very
flush.
polarizing.
Yeah.
So
On the flop.
no, on the river.
On the river.
So Gary actually did have a chance to steal there. He had enough behind, I think, where he could have gotten the fold. He would have had like 1,300 before that. So he probably could have got
He calls one of his buddies to get
Rye
the,
Guy
do the
to
pickup.
lay that 10-eye flush down.
And
But that's
the
a tough
line-
spot to pull
Yeah,
down.
and the line would have made sense too, right?
Yes.
Any reasonable hand with backdoor equity, like backdoor nut diamonds, would definitely call that flop. Obviously, hitting that nut diamond turn, they'd definitely call turn, and when they hit the flush draw on the river, they would probably hold the same play. But, he probably wasn't deep enough.
Before he called, he had 1,300. No, he had 1,600. I apologize. He had 1,600 because that stack of green is 1,000.
300, so it would have been 1,300 for Rye Guy to call.
And that would be a tough call, especially these, like, Gary is closer to, like, it's one of those spots where I call it, he could have leveraged his image, where
He's not for it.
Gary doesn't really have a whole lot of bluffs here, and he could have leveraged his image to. Rye Guy is a good enough player where he's folding queen high flush and under for sure. King high flush, he can still fold there, but
For
it
that
would have been a
price,
lot
you might
tougher.
just call.
Yeah, it would have been a lot tougher for him to for Ryguy to fold there. But all those flushes under a king high flush, I think Gary could have got the fold there. But I'm not pulling that trigger a lot. That's a tough spot. That's a tough spot to pull the trigger on. But if you can recognize that the down bet is targeting a certain hand, that might be a good spot to try to pull that bluff off. Sometimes that spot is hard to recognize for sure. Even when you do, it's hard to pull the trigger.
He Zelled or Cash App everybody in here. I know he lost 12,000 in an hour. Real heavy set guy. He went to Ryan 3 or 4 times. Then he started going to other plate people. The heavy set guy
Dude, I
that
don't know how they Zell so much.
Ariel wakes up with aces. He will probably open for a raise here.
I can only do 500.
Even though they're weak aces, but he's going for the. Okay, he's going to play it really soft. He probably won't even 3-bet here if it's raised up, unless he can get the money in.
And this is where like
Makes
stacked up
went
awareness
in
is
the
really
restroom
important
and
too,
won
right?
the
Like maybe who's in the
restroom
straddle, who's in the
said,
blinds,
"Hey,
what their
Mijo,
stack depth
you
is
know
compared to
this guy
yours.
here, you
Yeah.
want me to
And
give him some money?"
or that's A, right? And then B, how well is that person probably going to raise in their straddle, whatever. So certain hands you might want to be limping in, like what JL's doing, right?
I actually do whip. I retract my statement. I actually probably would limp here. That actually is the prudent play. Again, position is everything.
Yeah.
So raising here, you're actually going to be check folding a lot. So if you can actually see the flop for cheap for the weakest part of your range, for weakest part of your ace range, it's not the weakest part of your range. I misspoke there. But for the weak part of your ace range, it actually also it gives you a little of disguisability when you do hit really strong.
Interesting action here.
Both of them worked real hard though.
The bottom card does pair, so JL does have 2 pair with the aces, but it's going to give Faisal bottom vote here.
Yeah. And JL knows this is a way ahead or way behind spot, so he's also trying to get a little bit of value for his hand.
Nearly knock your shoes off.
This should
Cleaning
go
up
check
underneath
if
the
I had to
table.
guess. Yep, check. Raise will take it down. Yep, that's about as standard as you get.
Yeah,
Yep.
pretty standard for both players, I imagine.
Yeah, pretty standard. Faisal,
Of course, I walked in the restrooms.
if I was
Nobody's
Faisal, I'd
been in
probably
there yet.
lead more though
I didn't
on the
have to
turn
go
there
wash
and not
my
check
tennis
call
shoes.
just from the standpoint of if he did have if he did have some strong equity like straight draw, flush draw, you can get those hands to fold with a strong bet on the turn. Oh, did he have a boat?
He had the boat on the turn.
Okay, well, it's either or. It was still a weak boat, so there's still some hands you're trying
No sodas, no coffee.
like you still want like over pairs to fold
there in a
there.
bag. You know
So I
what's
still
that?
would be more inclined
It's in
to
a black
just
bag
bet
at the end of the
and
bar.
get the hand over with in that spot. I bet if you're trying to get value, do a down bet maybe, bet under half pot, and see if you can get called by over pairs or. Because you actually probably would get value from aces if you down bet a little bit there.
Obviously.
So it would have been the same result, but you have more control over the hand.
Who we
If
gonna
you
get to
go
fill
late.
this seat?
Ben.
Oh, I thought y'all said he
It's
would.
actually if Carter was in better position, this is definitely a hand I would be
He
aggressive
said
Not
with.
far away. He said not far.
In a non
Ace 7-9-3.
Yes, double suited.
played that
It loses a lot of its power being out of position, but in position, this isn't going to hand. Especially if I've been having a folding spell, this might be a hand I would even consider 3-betting. Just because I block a set of aces, I'm double suited, somewhat connected, not really, but somewhat. If you can get this hand two-way or 3-way, that's a good result in
As
position.
connected as you could probably hope for in this game.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, ace to 3, 9 to the 7. So not too terrible. Oh, he will flop the nut flush draw though.
Yeah,
Besides,
but this is also a flop
leave you off
that
the list. I never see you anymore.
could get him in a lot of trouble, just because it's
Well, you
10
know what?
queen connects with a lot of hands
Make fun of me
usually,
'cause I'm gonna die
especially
lonely old
4-way.
man.
But
My
luckily,
brother's gonna have
Fortunate
to
for
marry
him,
Paul
no one had
Bears.
anything.
exactly, and all of a sudden you get raised, and all of a sudden you're like, am I really about to get all my money in with
With just the nut flush
just
draw.
enough flush draw and a backdoor 9-high flush draw? It's like,
go ahead and
all of a sudden it gets very spicy.
I got one of them sitting
What
right
are
here.
the winnings right now?
Yeah.
Rye Guy and Dustin, big winners right now. Gary and JL, the losers so far. I think we don't see Clarence's
Man,
win-loss
it's
in there.
two-
But
it's
whatever he bought it for, he lost
2023.
all
There
of
has
it,
to be women
unfortunately.
involved
I
there.
think he bought it for
We've been playing
Max.
2,500
It's
or
like 2K.
2K. 2K. Yeah.
There hasn't been a Suzanne sighting.
Hey, you got a very nice comment here from Coco Online 5. Oh, Alfred commentating. Probably one of the best PLO players at TCH and solid dealer.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate that.
That's why I brought him on, Coco. Yeah, because I was like, who do I know here that I would actually want on the stream?
I'm putting in 1,600.
If you came to mine, and you were obviously at the top of the list, Alfred.
Listen, you know how they did those
definitely- I
percentages
definitely
over at the other room?
appreciate
You played
the comment. I
X
try to
number
do
of
my
hands.
best. I don't think of myself as one of the best
He's trying to
players,
stay
but
in
I
the small
definitely
double
try
digits.
to do my best. to be a
12%. He's
winning
trying to be the
player.
tightest in the game. There's no way they're going to believe an Indian's the tightest in the game.
The screen's broken.
Hey, you better open up. They're gonna stop paying you off out there.
Oh,
You don't play some hands.
I really Carter does some really. I really like Carter's game.
I guess a guy.
This is very unconventional. He's very unconventional pre-flop. Like no one, very few people who I consider good players would be raising ace jack 9-4. But because Carter's post-flop game is so strong, he can get away with these things, and I don't mind him doing this. His hand reading ability is very strong.
Yeah, he's just probably just going to fold this.
He will.
Based on what you're saying.
If they were deeper, okay. Say if he had the ace high flush draw. Say if he had JL's hand, ace high flush draw, not even the gutter, and JL raises like that, and they were deeper, he might come in for a raise. Oh, he's raising now.
He's
Okay.
raising now.
I'm speaking this into existence, but he's not using a hand I would think he would normally use.
So, and like you're just saying, his hand reading is pretty on point here. Putting him on some kind of ace high flush combo draw, but he feels like he has him out kicks.
And it's also
I
one
don't
of
know
those
how relevant
situations.
that is, but
Mike doesn't really doesn't respect short stack much. So if he thinks he has any kind of equity, he knows he doesn't have a set of aces. He knows that because he was the initial raiser pre-flop. So he's willing to get it in there and just
And they
see
call
where the
you
cards may
tight.
lie.
Look at that.
Because he was the raiser, and because of JL's stack depth, there's pretty much no scenario where JL
has a set of aces.
has a set of aces.
Sure.
So that's also why he's willing to get in there. That board is very connected. The only thing he's really worried about, which he blocked with before, is 4 deuce. 4 deuce is about the only thing that has him
Makes
crushed.
sense. Yeah, so, yeah, hands. So, yeah, he never has a set of aces. It's hard for him to have
What you call 225?
a strong, not
Yeah.
strong,
Yeah.
like in terms of, I mean, like the ace and the whatever the picker is, right? It's typically a hand exactly what he has.
And this
Ace
is
high flush draw with a 7.
this is why I don't like playing short,
Rick, give us
because
2,000.
if JL was deeper, Carter folds.
Sure.
It's the fact that he only had 1,000 in the hand. That he had like 1,200 in the hand.
Where'd you take the misses to dinner?
And like I said, he knows he doesn't have aces here.
Yeah, because
It's-
it's never leading.
Yeah, and him having
What is? I don't know.
what?
Would aces, set of aces ever?
Oh yeah,
I thought
yeah,
they
yeah.
would.
For sure, especially on a
But,
drawing board like
but
that. Yeah.
because of how the action went, he's removing a set of aces and putting him on
Yeah.
ace high flush draw.
Yeah, because
A lot of the time.
JL's out of position,
Mine's right there.
and Carter was the initial raiser. JL just doesn't. It's hard for him to have 4 deuce there. Most people aren't. JL's a pretty knowledgeable player. He's capable of having 4 deuce there, but the odds of him having 4 deuce there is pretty slim,
Or
especially
based on the pre-flop action.
exactly.
Okay.
And so, again, Carter knowing this was like, I'll get with a combo draw. It's like it's only 1,200, so if I'm wrong, I only lose 1,200. So
And it worked out from there. So nice,
Yeah.
nice play there from Mike.
yeah,
Mike
that's
C there.
yeah. That's what I love Mike's game. His feel for the game is, I think, second to none. He has a great feel for the game.
JL will reload, it looks like. Unfortunately, I did get word that for hand 19 and 20, we had some mess up with our scanners. So
Jimmy opened up a little bit, huh?
I think we'll run a few ads here. Maybe hop back after this hand, but we'll go ahead and take a break here to let the scanner come back and make it work again.
Your adrenaline is pumping. Over $20,000 is on the line. The clock is ticking. Buzzer beater bad beat has begun. The famous Texas Card House bad beat is back. Take your shot to win big. Be in any Texas Card House when it hits, and you get your share. $100 cash in your hand. The bad beat jackpot rises every day, and the qualifying hand gets easier and easier each day. Just by being checked in, you're a winner of $100, no matter which Texas Card House you're in. Texas Card House is the only poker club in the state offering you this. Come into Texas Card House all spring to win.
No problem.
Please make it 30.
All right, looks like we're on hand 20 now. Let's see if the. I think they had to take a moment to reset the scanner.
You know who it is, right? Play with
I think this hand probably doesn't scan. This is the last one.
I guess we'll fill this time with a few. I guess like a little Q&A portion here. So if anyone in the chat has any questions regarding PLO or card room here, go ahead and ask them in the live stream chat. Alfred and I will do our best to answer them. And for anyone in the live stream chat that would love to play on our live stream, you can contact Mallory, our game runner for TCH Live Dallas. You can contact her at that phone number or that email to inquire about openings for our Tuesday or Wednesday streams.
I did lose 1,000.
Obviously, there's a high demand for our live stream
Plus my time.
games, but you can definitely ask Mallory to see if there's any availability on a specific date.
I don't know that Gary acted.
And of course, we do have our Bad Beats promo back here at TCH. It is a statewide Bad Beat that is currently at a steel wheel right now. It needs to be beat. 5-high straight flush at $27,000 plus the $100 multi-club share bonus. So if you're playing in any of our TCH locations across the state of Texas, when this bad beat gets hit, you get $300, and I've actually done it twice.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, well, I got $50 because I'm an employee, but
Yeah, I got 51.
yeah, I remember playing, and I saw Nick there walking around with his stack of $100 bills. And like one of the players at my table was like, I bet you've just walked away, because he was just like putting it on the seats wherever he saw a swiped in player. He's like, oh, I bet if you just walked away, he won't even notice. And I was like, no, I feel bad. So,
Didn't our smallest room win this one last?
yeah, the RGB location hit the bad beat.
So truly, and we had 26 tables going that night. So truly, any room
Any
can win
room,
this.
exactly. I mean, it's just a matter of pure luck, honestly.
Yeah.
And if you happen to be swiped in any of our locations, you get $300.
Can't beat that. You didn't even do anything. You got 100.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't, and you got to keep in mind too. This bad beat does go up $1,000 every single day, but also the hand raking goes down too. So today's the last day for a straight flush. Tomorrow will go up to $28,000, and then it'll be quad aces losing. But at that point, the quad aces do need to still lose to the straight flush. Whenever the hand ranking goes down, it needs to be beat by the ranking above.
Yep.
So all the way down to quad deuces, it still needs to be beat by straight flush. Once it goes to aces full of kings, that's when
usually
quads
when it
can be
starts
beat by quads. And that's when it's like, that's usually when it hits around $45,000 or $50,000, and that's when this is when I start coming to really play.
I think most cases it's hit. I think the most times it's hit is aces versus kings.
Right at that threshold, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's go back in the action here. I think we're ready to get back in. Let's see if
Ooh, Gary won a nice spot. Ooh, way to go, Gary.
I really appreciate everyone being patient with us.
Gary wants his wife to know
Having a few issues with our scanners here on our table.
Clarence is gone if you need that information.
Ryan, 6,200.
If for anyone in the live stream chat that has yet to check out TCH Dallas, which is still boggles my mind. I mean, the number of people I talk to here that are brand new members is like, oh, I don't even like when did y'all like I'll be dealing or playing, and I find a new player because I can tell based on their player card number, right? And it's kind of a bad thing, I guess, that we're calling them out. But anytime I see someone swipe in, I'm like, I see like 28,000. I'm like, oh, is this your first time here? And they're like, oh, yeah, it is. And how long have y'all been open? I say 2 years. And then they're like, what?
I had a player like that. It's like, I live like 3 blocks down the road. How long have y'all been open? I don't know, over 2 years.
Yeah, no,
They're like, what?
It blows my mind that like people that enjoy the game of poker so much just don't know about this room. So like that's why every stream I'll come on saying like if anyone's new, I mean, and you've yet to check out TCH Dallas, we're located very centrally. At 635 and 35 in the Sam Moon Center. And very soon we'll be opening up a second club here in the DFW area. So really, what a time we're living in, right? To have such great poker rooms in, locally. I mean, obviously you remember the days. I remember the days having to drive to Oklahoma every week to go play.
That was depressing.
Or playing home games and with ridiculous rate, right? Like that was our life for like multiple years.
Yeah.
Ace, queen, and 3.
I love when I get those cards and I
Don't,
fold it. It makes people
I do not,
But don't miss it, yeah.
y'all really folded a great hand.
I do not. Because I the only form of gambling I like to do is poker.
I'm the same way, yeah.
Like, going up to the casino to just to play poker was very.
You got to walk through the smoke. It smells.
And then if you're a loser that night, that hour drive home was like.
Well, and nothing's worse too, right? Where
You
like
got 2
you.
phones and the Range Rover.
All right, let's see. Wow, some pretty hands here.
Yeah, they got some nice hands here.
Yeah.
Best to get them in the cage because we
The
got
only one with the club draw is Rye Guy. Has top pair. Gary currently.
That guy's the straight with the upgrade.
Oh, excuse me. Becca does have the nut straight currently.
Yep, that's gonna be a bed fold, like just like that. But she did that. She did that right. Don't slow play. Don't give free cards. Just because you feel like in Hold'em, you see a lot of Hold'em players make that when they first get into the PLO. You feel like you got that forward locked up. Like, oh, I just got to dodge the flush draw. But you're dodging. Honestly, in a multi-way spot, you're dodging a 6. Well, you have the 9 upgrade, but usually just say you have the straight. You're dodging a 6, a 7, the board pair, clubs. It's like you really want to get as many people out as you can in a multi-way spot. There, she played that. She played that pretty standard. That's what you want to do.
And how about the discipline there from Raga? Just the snap fold, the queen high flush draw there, and I think that's pretty common, right? In PLO, obviously players playing the 2-card game. I mean, any flush draw you're probably calling, but in PLO, when you're not drawing to a nutted flush draw, it's just so much harder to navigate.
It depends on the player. Rye Guy is a very knowledgeable player, but you'll still see a good population of the PLO community peel.
At least one.
Yeah, at least once, especially if they're putting Becca on what she has, a straight. They're like, oh, there's a good chance my flush draw is good. So, Rye Guy did that right. You're supposed to just let it go. There's better spots. But
and out of position. Too.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
if you do hit your club, are you even going to get paid? Probably not.
Exactly. Versus a player like Becca, no. She probably check folds. So yeah.
Let's see here. Carter does have a pretty hand here. Unfortunately, doesn't connect. Best hand currently is JP's with the top pair. And backdoor. Wait, how does it? Okay.
Yeah, I would actually like to see JP come in for a bet here. Yes.
How are you?
Even though there's a straight possibility out there, he blocks that, and it's a good. It's honestly a good bet fold spot where he can bet if he gets raised there.
He can comfortably fold, knowing that he's probably not getting enough outs to even hit his boat.
Exactly. So it's one of those things where you still want to charge draws, and it's one of those way ahead or way behind spots. So it's definitely a spot that I like how he played that. you want
Tip
to
for the dealers.
go ahead
throw
and
me
just
one,
take control.
We have a new player here in the 4 seat. Their name hasn't appeared just yet. Is this a player you recognize, Alfred?
Yeah, I haven't played with him a lot. I think his name is. You know, it starts with a B. I'm going to say it's Brian or Ben.
I think he's just checking audio.
Yeah. He's a very aggressive player. So like when I was talking about with these rooms are very conducive to aggressive players.
Don't let it vibrate.
He is very aggressive. He makes very unconventional bluffs. Yeah, I like his game, but it's a game I don't have the gumption to try myself. But he is willing to bluff
Just in
in
the circle,
spots
just-
that I'd say 98% of people just aren't even gonna even think about, let alone try.
So would you say like there's more sub-gap categories of strategies in PLO versus no limit hold'em, right? Like because in no limit hold'em you have the tight aggressive, the lag, loose aggressive.
Versus, so as you start getting as people's skill goes up, yes, you start seeing a lot of different things. But your average player is going to be one of your average player is usually going to be one of two things: loose passive. There's not even really a tight passive in this game, honestly. Tight passive really doesn't exist in PL. It does, but
Now we're working on
you'll
something.
never, like those players. A tight passive player doesn't really make money. They don't make a lot of money. You know?
Range Rover.
So you see them much more. They get bored out of this game.
Dude,
Bored out of their mind.
I got rid
Don't
of
see them last
Facebook
long in a
whenever
game
I.
like this. They'll be back to hold them. But so usually loose passive or loose
So rich.
or loose aggressive. That's usually the average player in this game.
Just
I have it for about 90 days before.
before they find you.
But yeah, you don't really like. I would classify but with players with more skill, you see tight aggressive, loose aggressive. There's some skilled players that can play. That can switch it up to tight passive, loose aggressive, tight aggressive. Like they're very good at switching gears. So it's hard to put them on ranges. So you definitely see more styles when people start understanding the game more. So yeah.
Oh, one of your favorite comments about bingo here from Boris. PLO is just bingo.
That's one of the reasons why I came on here. I'm trying to explain their thought process, especially some of these players.
More to it
yeah.
than just the meets the eye.
Exactly. And as they start getting deeper, I promise you, it's a lot less. Just let's get it in pre-flop and see what happens. There's a lot of strategy, a lot of thought.
Yeah, there's like an asterisk with that statement, right?
Exactly.
Like if you're shallow, sure, yeah, you can
Yeah.
call PLO bingo if you want. But once it's like probably 200, 300 big blinds plus, then you're looking at okay,
Yeah.
there's some serious strategy
Yeah.
here.
And because
Usually those are easy.
PLO solvers don't translate to live play, you don't. The game's not solved, especially live. So, that's why you get to see as people start to understand the game more. You see more strategies because there is no real GTO. There's no such thing as
We got him on
GTO.
stone tilt,
Per se, game theory alphabet. For people that don't know what GTO means, there is no GTO in PLO. So it gives you you can really use your mind and formulate how you wanted to play the game as you start to learn the game. I really like that aspect.
So it looks like Dustin here will pot it here with the King Jack 9-7 double suited. Gonna get called by Faisal with just the Ace 9-7-3 triple suit.
I actually don't mind this. It's a little loose, but if he can gain position, it makes a lot of sense.
Which it looks like he did.
He did, but it's so many people.
Will flop top two pair, but pretty dicey flop. A lot of combo draws available.
He's doing what he's supposed to do. At this stack to pot ratio, hitting top two pair, even with it being a dynamic board, you just get it in and you pray.
But Faisal's driving the action here. Gonna pot the flop with a nut flush draw and a gut shot. Gonna get called by Ben. Oh my goodness. I mean, what do you do here with your Dustin? What do you do here if you're Dustin with the top
Dustin
two
knows
pair?
he's ahead of Ben. Now he's just trying to determine what Faisal has. Yeah, but-
Obviously, blocking top
Yeah.
two pair,
Basil-
blocking top set, blocking middle set.
Yeah, so Dustin's doing. Yeah, he's raising.
He will re-jam, and then now Ben here in a spot.
Yeah, he knows he's ahead of Ben with that just call. He knows Ben is on a draw. And Faisal actually played his hand the way he's supposed to. He has enough equity. What?
We got a three-way all-in here. Probably going to be a 10K pot.
He has what you call a sucker wrap. That all his outs are nuts. He's not in a percentage-wise he is, but like there's so many hands that dominate a hand like this, especially with the clubs being on deck. Faisal has the flush draw covered. Dustin has blockers to his straight, and he's in a really bad spot. This is
sad.
a very unconventional call. He probably was looking
Does
at
the 10 give anyone the better straight, or everyone has 9-7?
I don't have 2,000.
the 10. Yeah, well Ben has a little. He has a sucker wrap, so a 10 does give him a straight. He can hit a 7, 9, 10, or a queen. That's not a club, and there it is.
Oh my gosh,
Ben hits the
Ben is
straight.
going to scoop
Yeah.
with the 9-10.
That's where see when that viewer commented bingo. That was a bingo spot. That was. You're really not supposed to call there in that spot. He thinks he's getting enough equity, but there's just so many hands that have him drawing so thin that it would have been the better play in the full. But when viewers see hands like that, they're like, "Yep, bingo." So I definitely understand, but Dustin loves his spot there. Like I promise you, Dustin and even Faisal, that's a profitable spot for them. They're winning more money there in the long run than
Yeah,
they're
that's
losing.
just
Ben is losing in
it
the
was a
long
brick
run.
turn.
Yeah.
Just unfortunate overcard there.
Yeah.
Dustin.
Yeah.
Unbelievable there. Almost a 10K pot headed
Oh, that
towards
was-
Ben. Just sat down. The seat's not even warm yet, and he's up 5K.
Dustin's gonna buy it for at least 5K. Like the game is about to start getting real deep.
685.
And we're only an hour into the stream here. We could see 10, 15K stacks here by the end of the night.
Yes.
Easily.
Yeah. If they would have been deeper, I think Ben folds. I think Ben just decided that there was just too much dead money in the pot that he just couldn't.
He's just like, oh, I just hope the club doesn't come.
Pretty much.
I need the offsuit queen, please.
He knows he's drawing to a straight with no club. He knows between those two guys, the clubs are lost.
Unbelievable there. And just like that, I mean, Dustin was one of our big winners. Down the most now, down 3,700. Reloading for 10K.
10K. Well,
There we go.
I knew it'd be at least 5K. So yeah, 10K makes a lot of sense.
Let's go. Okay.
Dustin's even more than me. Dustin likes playing deep. He's a very good player. He's gonna make less mistakes than you. He's trying to play his role's deeper than mine, so he's trying to play deep as possible. He's a very good player. He won't go. This won't make him go on tilt. He's a very smart player.
10,000 worth.
10,000 worth.
But yeah, that was unfortunate for Dustin. Oh, Dustin has a pretty strong hand here if he can get it heads up with a 6-5-4 double suited. That's one of those hands that you're trying to get heads up.
We'll repot the action
Yeah.
here. A pot from JL, a repot. JP gonna fold, Becca gonna fold.
JL might call here.
Ben still hasn't even racked up his chips yet.
Ben
might call too,
Ben might call.
honestly.
He might call just because he won that pot. If they were on stream, he might have called blind.
Hayden Fortini in the chat says, "What's up, y'all? Love to see some PLO." Who is in the booth? You got Derek and Alfred in the booth, Hayden. Glad to see you in the chat.
Freaking call you firsthand. Just
Ooh,
Not the best flop for Dustin.
it's actually pretty locked. Ben might peel when JL bet. Oh, JL checks. Oh, he's blocking. Oh, he has too much of the board locked up. See, I would have preferred to bet there on the flop. But now it's gonna be really hard for him to get action here. He just covers too much. He's really only trying to get action from a king high straight to a set. So that's once the jack comes, it's pretty locked. It's one of those hands where I would have liked to see a bet on the flop just because his equity is so strong.
From JL, and you can
JL.
get called by weaker holdings.
Weaker holdings, weaker draws. Even if you're going against a hard hand, so top, like that's one of those spots where You're not that bad. You're not drawing that bad versus top set.
Tell
Like,
the group, hey, watch
it's
me
one of those
suck out
spots
the
where-
And depending on their stack size, you might still want to get it in.
yeah,
Bad dirty. You're bad dirty.
yeah, because I can't tell how much JL has right now, but it looks like he has close to 3. He probably wouldn't get
I
it in
think he
there.
reloaded for 2,500.
25.
Yeah.
Okay. He probably doesn't get it in there unless he can get unless it's just he knows he just wants to realize his old equity. But it's also one of those spots where you might peel just to see if the board doesn't pair, because usually in that spot, someone might have a set and just don't want the board to pair.
I had a card fold
Without a
over.
set,
I would have liked to
obviously.
see. Yeah, I personally,
But yeah, no,
I
I'll
would
show
have
it.
bet just to either take it down
Yeah,
with an ace high
sorry.
or realize my equity with some money in the pot.
It was the best card in my hand.
Ben looks like really driving the action here, trying to be involved in as many pots as possible,
Yes, he's-
even out of position here.
He's loose aggressive. He's passive. He's loose passive, loose aggressive. He likes to see a lot of flops. His post flop reading skill is pretty strong.
This is an action
yeah.
flop here. Set over set, and the nut flush draw for Ben. We could see some
Oh.
money put in here, pile in here.
Yes, this is gonna be an interesting spot.
So it looks like, I mean, but Gary, I've seen Gary make some very solid folds as well when I
Yeah.
deal. You know, he knows his hand's very strong here, but he also knows
Give you the right amount.
his hand's also very susceptible too.
Yeah. Well, because see how the board is not very connected. It's king, 6, deuce. So if JL raises here, which he is,
It's
He's-
weighted towards another set.
towards the set, he's not going to be doing this with an ace high flush draw too often.
Well, you can just close the action. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. If he was, it's one of those spots where it's just like he has a lot of set of kings here. He's not doing this with a set of deuces. Oh no, he's gonna get it in. Oh,
Looks like he will make the call, leaving himself with 2,300 back. Ben here, still drawn to the nuts. It's going to make the call too. So we're going to go 3 ways to a turn card
Okay.
here. A really big turn.
so here's the sick part. If it gets in 3-way on the flop, Ben actually equity is
Oh my gosh. And
Perfect.
Ben picks up equity on the turn.
Ben's gonna win. I can tell.
The offsuit 10's going to come.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. Oh,
All in for 1,700. And if Gary folds, Ben might make the call.
I don't see Gary folding. Ben's gonna call no matter what. I promise you. Because 1,700, he's getting over 3 to. He's getting right at 3 to 1 on his money.
Right now, I mean, this is before Gary puts
Before
in the money,
Gary
so he's
calls.
going to get 4 to 1
He's
if
Gary.
calls.
At this point, it would be just wrong for Ben to fold. But he shouldn't have been here in the first place. But now that he's here, he has to call. It would be he'd be malpractice at this point for him not to call.
Gary really put in the blender here.
I
Only
really-
losing to
yeah.
top set reasonably, right? You don't see hands like pocket jacks
I'm-
raising the flop like that. So.
I'm trying to figure out what Gary what his
Great
plan
fold.
was,
Great fold.
because if he's gonna fold there, he should have folded the flop. It's one of those. It's like
That's a bargain.
You're not really. There's no other current card but a 6 you're looking for, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
JL's
and he doesn't have a
never-
diamonds. Yeah.
JL is never slowing down once he pots it there on the flop. He's
See what the
never.
river card brings. It was the diamond. Oh my
What I
gosh!
say? I told you Ben would win. I said Ben is gonna like. There's this.
Oh my gosh! Ben wins another massive pot here. A 7K pot headed towards Ben.
Oh man. You
It's a
see this?
bingo Ben.
You see this in PLO too, where like
Oh my.
no matter
God.
what someone does, they
They just get there.
They run like God. Like it's
Not even just the non-pairing diamond on the river.
yeah. I
No jack of diamonds, no deuce of diamonds.
When I saw
The
that jack,
non-pairing diamonds.
when I saw that jack on the turn, I was like, Ben is gonna win this. And because Gary was in there, it actually made
It gave him better odds.
what gave him
Yeah.
at that point. He's getting the perfect match. He had 25%. When you have a flush draw on the flop, you cannot be more than a 3 to 1 dog.
Sure.
And
You have at least 25%.
exactly.
And it's, if you're drawing
With
to the
a-
nuts.
Exactly. And when Gary calls there, at this point,
Dustin's
he
like,
has
oh yeah,
to call.
get Ben here.
So I take that back by I wouldn't have been there if I would actually slow down and thought about it. Once Gary calls,
You have the That's actually Ben was hoping that Gary
it's a
calls, right?
mandatory call at that point. Like you're in a break-even spot there to where, yeah.
So
like,
say on the flop it went bet from JL and then Gary it went bet from Gary on the flop, and say JL repops, and then Gary repops, then Ben would probably fold. on the
No,
flop.
the math is still the same.
Oh,
Like,
it's still the same, you're right?
the-
Yeah, because
the-
they're all the money's already.
It's one of those. It's one of those. What is your risk tolerance?
Sure.
Like I'm not one of those proponents that says this is correct, this is incorrect. What is your risk tolerance? Do you want to introduce this variance into your life? Like, you're not wrong if you call. It's a profitable play if you get it in here, 3-way. But if you just don't want the
but
variance,
75% of the time you're going to be losing 6K.
Exactly.
or whatever.
and in PLO you're just seeing less hands, so you're not. It's hard to realize that equity over the long run.
Or to recoup such a big loss.
Exactly, especially in a session like this. 5-5 makes almost every day, but not every day. So it's harder to, at these limits, it's harder to realize your equity for the same amount of money you lost.
I'm action.
So I wouldn't have minded if Ben would have folded there if the money, if they were going to get it in.
Oh, wow. Action flop here.
Oh, I think they
I
got.
was just nervous
Oh,
because
check,
you
check.
were next to me and you had like
Definitely
your
going to flop trip 10. He's going to turn top boat. Rod guy with the open ender.
Yeah, Becca was the 3-better pre-flop. That was pretty standard for Rye Guy. Yeah, because Becca 3-bet pre-flop. So on a paired board that he doesn't pair, he's probably just check folding.
And look at that, Ben, the big winner. And I think JL is done for the night. Oh no, he's coming back. Okay, JL looks like he's just gonna get some reload chips. Maybe take a walk after that beat.
Yeah.
Ben, the big winner right now, up 9K, has a 13K stack.
5 hands in.
Jeez.
Saw that, guys? 5.
Welcome to PLO. The great game of PLO.
Great game of pot limit Omaha.
Yeah.
You can make it.
Golly. Man, this is making me want to play PLO, but I don't think I have the role for this.
100 JP.
Make it 110, JP.
You'd be very surprised. So 125.
All
You
on my
can,
button, please.
It matters.
if
Where you're at.
you're 125, you have the roll. I know you have the roll. You can play 125 PLO, buy in for 500 or 1,000, and be just fine. You know, you have a basic knowledge of PLO, which, in my opinion, the PLO is 20 years ago what Hold'em was.
Okay. Yeah.
Is what Hold'em was 20 years ago.
Interesting.
So if you have a basic knowledge of this game, you can be a break-even to slightly winning player if you have the discipline, which I know you do, to apply that basic knowledge. And that's the key. Because of the nature of this game, discipline is even more paramount in a game like this, because you see people like Ben gambling it up.
And they're up 10K in 2 hands. Yeah.
And then when you try it, you lose 3 buy-ins. You're like, what the? It's like, what do I do?
Yeah.
So I get it. That's why discipline is so important in a game like this, especially when starting off. But if you can acquire a basic knowledge of this game, you can hold your own.
I've been wanting to, just because I've seen how popular the games are getting here. Right? I come here on a Tuesday morning and I see 5 PLO games. I'm like, what is going on here?
Houston will eventually be Dallas will eventually be like Houston. I call Houston the mecca of the PLO world. Not because they get huge games, but not because they necessarily get huge games, but because that city has the most PLO than any other city in the world.
And look at this here from Dustin, pushing the action with the Ace King 7-4. Just piling the money here, using that 4, I imagine, as a blocker here, and having that nut flush as, you know,
That's exactly what he's
as
doing.
a kind of a backup.
Yeah, it's one of those spots. It's one of those spots where I think he just figures there's enough dead money in there to where it's like it's worth the gamble here.
Looks like a one time, and there's the club.
Bink.
Bink City for Dustin. Basil thought he got there, but no, the nut flush for Dustin.
Basil was. I think he knew he was ahead. At this point, when the money gets in, he either thinks he might have thought he had 4 or 5. So yeah, he might have thought he got there. But
I'm gonna raise the next
for
hand,
Basil,
too.
that was one of those. Either he's way ahead and doesn't want the clubs, or he was way behind and he needs the clubs.
And he needs the clubs.
Yeah.
Yeah, he might have thought he got there.
Basil, that was just a run bad spot. He actually,
I think he played it correctly.
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
that was just a run bad spot for Basil. But That's also what helps Dustin's image is he'll gamble it up sometimes. But like I said, he's a very knowledgeable player. But he'll gamble with you sometimes just to give you some action, and that's what he was doing. He was giving Faisal action because he knows Faisal will give it back.
And that's kind of just like the standard Paramount rule, right?
Exactly.
You want to give the action to the players that
Nobody
you
likes
think
a bragger.
would give the same action back to you.
Exactly.
The last thing you want to do is give the action to the person that is playing 10% VPIP.
Yeah, and I don't think in this lineup you'll have anybody that is
True.
Like, this is
This is a good lineup.
Yeah, everyone has a pretty good knowledge of PLO, so they play a wider range than I would say most. So they're not afraid to play some wider ranges. This is a good lineup.
Mallory Poker in the chat, our game runner and lineup.
Oh wow!
Says she pushed a 30K pot and won 2 PLO last week.
Wow.
Yeah, I've done that before.
That was the week I took off, so I wasn't here.
to date, my biggest tip and biggest pot is all in 1-2 PLO.
Yeah, that was Kim.
For Kim, yeah.
Yeah, I was there. I was like, I was on the side. And I was
like, what's
I was
going
actually
on?
standing next to Dustin, and I was like, they were doing a side bet of who was going to win. I was like, whoever has Kim is going to win this.
I remember hearing that actually when I was sitting in the box.
She had been sun running so hard that last month, and I was just like, in these spots, I'm like, whoever put their money on Kim is winning this, 100%. And sure enough, Kim won. I was like, that was an amazing win for her. That was awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I was just sweating there. I didn't want to mess up.
Oh, no,
I had like 5 side pots.
You did a great job.
There were so many people all in.
You did a really good job.
Appreciate that.
One of the reasons why I think Kim gave you a good tip was because she's actually a former dealer herself.
Yeah.
And
I think she appreciated it.
Yeah, and that's
well,
actually,
obviously, other than winning the pot.
I talked to her on the side. I played with her a couple of days after that, and she actually complimented you and said he did a really good job in that spot. That was because that's one of those real complicated spots where you have 4 or 5 side pots and you have to keep track
and you
of who's in
cannot
who.
mess up because
Exactly.
it is such.
A lot of
There's
money.
so much money.
Yeah.
I think the thing people forget about, right, when people that don't deal, as dealers, you're handling other people's money. So like that's the last thing you want to do is mess up in a spot like that where there's tens of thousands of dollars on the line.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't ever think I hear that often. People say dealing is an easy job, but for the few people that might say that, it is and it isn't at the same time, right?
Especially in PLO. In Hold'em, you can kind of go on autopilot
Sure.
for the most part because it's heads up. Hands are pretty easy to read. There's usually not a side pot. If there is, there's just one.
There's a big hand developing here. It looks like
Yeah.
aces with the nut redraw. Ben with top 2 pair and JL with middle set. My goodness.
Between 9:30 and 10.
It's one of those weird. So if
started a little
Ben
JP
raised,
has some equity too.
JL did not raise. Did he raise? Yeah, he did. So
raise.
Becca, she's going to get away from this. That actually gives her an out. She won't be getting it in here, I don't think.
JP will really, and that's actually what we were just talking about earlier, right? Where you're trying to get people to fold their equity. As we saw there, JP had 38% equity. He just instantly mucked, right?
Yeah. What was it? You remember what his hand was?
9983 single suit to the club.
Okay, so the reason he let go of that hand because he doesn't know the equities.
We're heads up, right?
There's just a lot of hands that have him crushed.
Sure, so like a queen.
His only nut out is a 7.
Yeah, because a queen isn't clean.
Yeah.
Ace king
Yeah.
gets there.
Exactly. So if he hits a 7, he's sunk. Or he
Set
does a 7 is
of
only.
nines isn't probably clean.
Yeah,
because-
set of it straightens the board out.
Yeah, straightens the board out.
So it's one of those spots where in Hold'em, it's much easier to realize your equity because like I have an open ender, and the odds of somebody even necessarily blocking me heads up is very very slim. Let alone someone having a better draw than me. So it's one of those spots where like in PLO for a player like JP who knows what he's doing, it's an easy fold.
Yeah, but you don't know my back.
And this is why when you have your hand, just bet it. Don't let people play perfectly against you.
Where are we hung up?
Yeah, do not let them.
Dustin's stuck. I want you to hurry
Ben,
up.
because
trying to get even, man.
Ben makes a great fold.
2 pair?
Wow.
1 pair? 3 pair with a.
I don't know if I would have folded that. Just
I think he
because.
had a 3 as well, which is pretty
Wait,
sick.
time out.
Yeah.
Flux.
I don't know if I would have folded there.
Rip it in with bottom,
Like
bottom
just
bracket.
because
It was JL,
that
not
board
you.
is so coordinated, he's not blocking ace
I
king
want your
queen,
money, not JL's money.
king queen 9. Those are hands JL was probably doing the same thing with, and because JL is not very deep. In this spot, it would have been the wrong move to get it in there, but I think I might just because of how shallow JL was, I might have I might have just got it in there.
It was coming ace of
But, I
hearts.
mean, impressive fold.
Oh, yeah.
He was way behind.
That
Only
was-
drawing to the jack there.
That's a better fold, better play than I would have made. I would have been like, ooh, I'm going to a
Yeah.
2-outer.
You just have ace king jack.
I'm wondering if, say there was some kind of flush draw on the board, do you think he'd be more willing to put the money in with the jack 10?
And more draws, so yeah. So like, the only thing so best case scenario is he's probably against ace king queen 9,
Sure.
which means it's still a
wrap.
it's
It's
still
still
a coin
sick.
flip.
Yeah.
Yeah. And worst case scenario is he has a set of jacks and tens, and now he's
I
going to
rarely
a
make a bad
2-out or he's
fold. I
going
don't
dead.
fold very often.
So it was the right fold to make.
Mark Wee in the chat. How's it going, Mark? Julian says JP had 9987. Okay, excuse me.
It's still
though.
that's still a hand you really in a multi-way spot. If the hand started heads up, I'd be more inclined for him just to peel. But in a 4-way pot, it's just too easy for someone to have a better draw than you. So
it looks like Ben's hand currently the best hand at Showdown, but JL with the mountain of equity here. Dustin with the double blocker to the nut straight, though. So this is definitely a tough spot for Ben and JL, as you really can't be that comfortable with JL drawing to an 8, knowing that Queen Jack already has you crushed here, and he will let it go there, and that's
Dustin used
great.
blocker bet.
Yeah,
Yep.
great use of the blockers there from Dustin.
And it's one of those things where he can.
Blockers are more relevant in PLO too.
Yes, especially with him having position, so it allows him to play this spot perfectly. So he can, as long as the nuts don't change, even if he gets called there, he can still just
He
keep
just pot the
he
turn.
Can,
Yeah.
He can just keep betting, especially if he's against a deeper player. If he's against a shallow stack, he probably stops. But if he's up against Ben, he probably just
Has
keeps.
plenty of fold equity.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But against, it looks like JP has maybe like 2,000, 2,500 stuff like that. Against him, he might have stopped, but against Ben, he's going to just keep going until the nuts change.
So about an hour and a half on our stream now. Welcome to TCH Live. If you're just now joining us, we're live from Dallas, Texas, streaming 5-5 Straddle PLO tonight. It's a 4-card game for those of you that don't know, and you must use 2 cards from your hand, 3 from the board. So, for example, if you don't know about this, I guess kind of caveat to the game, say you have the ace of diamonds with no other diamond in your hand, and there's 4 diamonds on the board, you do not have a flush, which is probably one of the more common mistakes people make in this game when they're just now playing. But you do have to use 2 from your hand, 3 from the board, and you have to bet. You can only bet the pot limit, which is a pot size bet.
Ooh, Dale has a rare high card rundown, King, Queen, Jack, 10.
And it's only one suit. No, that's very rare, right? Yeah, it's having all the Broadway cards except for the ace.
So he has 2 of the 3 qualifiers. You worry about high cards, connectiveness, and then suit. So even with
Ranky connectivity, as
Yeah,
I've heard Jay
exactly.
Nandez say before.
So this is, so he completely lifts the board, but he shouldn't lose a lot of money in this spot. But that's one of those hands where if he can hit, if that 8 is a 9, he can still possibly continue if he's in position. Just
right,
because
calling the flop to hit a draw on the turn.
well, so say it's a 9 and those diamonds are hearts. There's a lot of turn cards that gonna give him a lot of equity.
any Broadway, any 7, any
Yeah.
8, yeah.
If the board was disconnected and was like, say, like 9-5 deuce, with 2 hearts on board, I wouldn't even hate a bet on the flop there.
The nuts here for Ben with the king high redraw.
Oh wow!
Dustin just has the pair of 7s with the 8, or pair of 8s with the 8 high flush draws. So
It has a gut shot too. He has a gut shot too to the 10 high straight. He's gonna definitely continue here, I think. Because he has position here, he's going to want to see another card.
But it is a pot-sized bet.
You got to remember how deep they are. Oh, yep, they're still pretty. Oh, wow, he bet 3K.
Yeah, there's a
okay.
pot-sized bet on the turn here.
Okay.
So I imagine
Wow.
Dustin's going to fold.
No, yeah, he's going to fold. Yeah. I didn't realize it was a pot-sized bet.
Say that 7 of diamonds was the ace of diamonds, then maybe, right?
Well,
maybe.
Even
then, you're still not getting the right price. I don't know.
Ace of, yeah, that does affect his decision. But even with the ace of diamonds, Ben is actually blocking him. But even if he had the ace of diamonds, with him potting there, he's just not getting enough equity to a pot size bet. Unless you're fairly sure you're going to get value on the river.
What do you have? You have aces?
You have to be pretty sure that you're going to get value on the river to make that call. Because just based off of pure pot odds, it's just not getting enough equity to a pot size bet. Even if it was even if it was an open ender or flush draw, it's pretty close. But a gut shot flush draw, yeah, even if it was a nut flush draw, it's not quite. All right. Okay. Dustin definitely has a playable hand here.
I haven't really heard much from Rye Guy here in a little bit. We'll come in here with the ace 10, 7, 6.
I disagree, guys.
Hazel here.
Suited to the ace, so he definitely wants to see a multi-way flop here. So.
You guys
I think we've seen every Broadway card available in the first 5 hands here.
Don't think an ace is coming on the board, guys. More aces in there.
Or a jack or a queen.
Yeah, it's 2023. Love it. That's why
My money's on Ben.
On Ben,
I think
yeah.
he's going to flop quads here.
That's what I was like, who has all the low cards?
Yeah. Ben and, it's going to be a battle between Ben and
I have heard a
JL
lot of
here.
stories about it.
Oh!
Oh my god.
So, we'll just face
Flops
that
the
when it
set.
Yeah, Ben is probably gonna. It's probably gonna be
So I was in the wait
a
list.
Ben check.
I
see the check. The board's coordinated.
The courses, but the interior doesn't.
Higher sets available.
Yeah,
but
Rye Guy's gonna bet with his six blocker and a gut shot. And a
and
backdoor
the
flush.
set, and I
Yeah,
guess
pair
the
of sevens,
top
yeah.
set blocker.
Top
Can
set
you even
blocker.
say that?
No.
Is that even a
Yeah,
thing?
no,
It
yeah,
is.
it is. That is very relevant.
No, I would never call him.
Yeah, I don't. Ben's probably actually just gonna call because the board is straightened out. This is actually a hand where. Ooh.
Oh no.
This is actually this is really dangerous. This could cause some action to happen because Ben is going to be putting him on a straight. So Ben probably is check raising here, or he's going to call. Check call. Yeah, they. How much is Rye Guy? Yeah, they're pretty deep, so check call makes sense.
See what the river card brings here. Big river card. 10 is going to give Rye Guy the better boat.
Yep.
And
15. I love the bet. And here, Rye Guy has to raise. He's just trying to figure out what can he raise for to get called by a smaller
pocket
boat.
3s, pocket 4s,
Straights.
7-4, 7-3 is what you're trying to target.
He knows he doesn't have a 7. I think he knows if Ben had a 7-4, 7-3, it's probably a bigger raise. But he's still targeting 4s, 3s, 5, 6.
And I like the sizing
He calls.
because I think 5-6 is going to have a hard time letting go as well.
Yeah, Ben. It's really tough for Ben to fold here just because Rye Guy's representing a straight on the flop, and then he runners to a boat.
Sick game here.
Yeah.
Nice pot there for Rye Guy. As I was just saying, we haven't heard much from Rye Guy with a decent sized pot here, probably at 1,600. Putting a little bit of a dent into Ben's stack here, but Ben's still with the massive stack with 13K.
That's actually one of those polarizer things Ben just did. You mainly see that in Hold'em, where you do that. I've seen some Hold'em players do that down bet to induce a bluff.
To induce or to
Yeah, but I don't think because okay, let's put it from this standpoint. If Ben is putting him on a straight, straight's just going to call and realize, see if they can win, right?
He's just going to take it as a check, which is
exactly
what he should take all that stuff.
He's hoping at that point he's hoping Rye Guy doesn't have it, so he's changing his thought process here. He's hoping Rye Guy doesn't have it straight and is turning his hand into a complete bluff.
sorry, the
Because
camera's
So would you have preferred a larger, say, like blocker size bet, and then if Rye Guy pots it, then
I
you let it
prefer
go?
if Ben is going to bet, Ben should be doing one of two things. Either he should be bet folding, so betting, and if he gets major action against him,
Just fold
Fold.
because it's
But-
essentially bottom vote.
yeah. But you have to have this process already in your head, or you're gonna talk yourself out of it.
Yeah, but I guess
Or check
I
call.
personally, if I'm arriving there on the river with fours full,
No, not well. Just the place we went.
betting, trying to target to a 7, and if they raise, then they always have a better vote, right?
Yeah.
They voted up with a 10-7,
Exactly.
they voted up with a 7. They randomly have a 7-4 or 7-3. You know?
Yeah, I wouldn't even mind a check call because Rye Guy can't really put him on too much because Ben check called on the flop.
So he could have the straight.
But Ben, it's really hard for Ben to have a straight here
Okay.
because he check called.
That makes sense.
It looks like he's drawing to something. So if I would have preferred a check call there because I think Ryan goes for a down bet if he check calls.
This is actually, I'm excited that this flop came here. So we got a monotone flop, but no player with a flush. So I've always really been interested in these spots in PLO, right? Where it's so multi-way, where you're like, oh, someone's got to have a flush, but no one does.
These are the spots that Ben is going to win more than most.
Because he's the aggressive.
Yeah, I call they're someone I know. They're called orphan pots. So on boards like that, where people don't look very interested, they look like bet.
Ben will just take him down
Yeah.
90% of the time.
Yeah. And with him leading it, I checked around on the flop, right?
Yeah. And he was
So,
in position.
Putting in a strong bet there, as long as no one has a second or third nuts, it's a strong chance of taking that down, especially being first to act, because a lot of people do that. A lot of people check with a nut flush, hoping someone bets their king high flush.
Yeah, exactly.
Behind them, and then they either check raise or they call in bet on the turn. So it makes a lot of sense. His story makes a lot of sense there to bet on the turn when everybody checks. So, and Ben recognizes those spots even when they're not there. So he's gonna take a lot of those spots down on boards like that. That was a good play by Ben.
Discount.
You guys wanted me to loosen up?
I don't blame you.
JP gone?
I think he's taking a little bit of a break.
Oh, okay.
Looks like.
Okay.
They said a funny cigarette, so I'm okay.
Depends on your definition.
Yeah, I know he's he's pretty card dead right now, so probably just trying to clear his mind, refocus.
I get a Crown and Sprite, please. Yeah, please, and a napkin as well. Yeah, thank you.
A lot of sporadic hands, nothing, no real premiums. Oh, Rye Guy flops a set of 8s with a nut flush draw.
So this is one of those hammerlock hands, right?
Hammerlock, yeah.
So how does he only have 20? What's going on here?
Well, cards left in the deck. Gary has a full wrap.
It's a straight flush draw.
He can hit he can hit the three of clubs, and then he can hit the.
See, that just boggles my mind. That top set nut flush draw has less equity than Gary's hand.
Yeah, he can hit a 7 of clubs, 3 of clubs, and then any 5 or 6.
Wait, what does 7 of clubs do then?
Northwest Highway.
Oh no, I'm sorry. No, he cannot hit the 7 of clubs. So he can hit any of the 7s besides the 7 of clubs. But the 3 of clubs gives him the straight flush. I was looking at Rye Guy's hand when
So
I
I
said
guess
that.
because Gary has so many clubs in his hand, that kind of reduces the equity in Rye Guy's hand, maybe.
Whoa, did he fold his?
Yeah, I guess so. Because it went bet from Ben. Ben with bottom 2 pair against top set, which is the nightmare scenario for him.
I don't know if I don't know if I can make that fold. That's a tough fold.
For Gary's holding?
Yeah, that's a you know you're because you're blocking. You have the 5, 6 of clubs, so you don't have to worry about if you hit those. Your straight is still good. You have the 3 of clubs because that gives you the straight of flush. So the only out that's gone is your 7 of clubs.
Can't keep on making.
And then the other flush draws.
Bad
But you
folds.
have a lot of your outs still in your hand. Because usually you're missing like 3 of those cards.
Right, and yeah, I mean you also got to keep in mind there's only 13 other. There's only 13 of one suit in the deck, right? So like having 3 in your hand makes it less likely you're gonna hit your flush anyways.
Especially at his stack depth, I'd be more likely just to let's get it in.
Yeah,
And
he had a lot of outs.
yeah, that's one of those spots where
Yeah.
we all miss them.
4-2.
I miss those
9-9.
spots too. I definitely do. We all do in this game.
Yeah, and you can't blame Gary there. I guess
Yeah.
he doesn't know what everyone else is wearing.
Yeah.
So
But yeah, but
you're fitting
with
Gary.
that stack depth, I think it's never wrong to just get it in there, especially when Ben comes along, because
But I have a premium.
you're
hand.
yeah. And once Ben is in there, your wrap is good enough at that point. Even if you know the flush draw is gone, even if you know some of your cards, because for his straights he's only missing the 7 of clubs.
Sure.
That is it. So he takes away his clubs. He still has a good
lot of
amount.
equity,
Yeah. That's one of those spots where it's like you have to be willing to gamble in this game when your equity is there. You have to.
It was Tyler. He was sweet talk.
And that was one of those spots where you have to be like, okay, this is one of those spots. Let's go.
Okay, looks like JL will make a big raise here with the single suit ace.
Okay, yeah.
Kind of with the dangler 6.
This is one of those weaker aces because his jack and 6 are nowhere near connected. His 6 is a complete dangler.
Like you'd almost prefer that jack to be like a 4 or 5.
Yeah,
Correct.
but he accomplished what he was trying to accomplish. He got it heads up.
And a pretty good flop here for
this-
JL, but
it's gonna get
Ben
in.
has the middle sets.
It's going to get in. JL still has the flush draw with the overpair aces.
785.
It's going to get in here. JL can't fold at his stack depth.
How about 670?
Yeah, for him, he knows like he's probably behind here, but he's just probably gonna get it in.
Oh, on a coordinated board like that, that's one of the worst things for aces. But because he has the nut flush draw, and he had like what a 2.5 to 1 pot. Yeah, it's one of those spots where he'll have enough equity to get it in there. He has to get it in.
Oh, and there it is, the top sets.
Big. Yeah.
Top set for JL.
Yeah, it looks like a bad beat, but because of the pre-flop action and his stack depth ratio, he played that. That's
Pretty
standard.
standard.
It would actually have been a mistake for him to fold on the flop. With him having the nut flush draw there and the overpair.
You're never drawing dead.
No.
with her. Yeah.
You're never drawing dead.
And your set of aces might be good too.
Yeah,
He doesn't. Ben doesn't have to have a straight there.
And Ben you saw Ben tap the table. He knew that was a spot that was pretty standard. Ben is making the same play in that spot. I would think all these players are making the same play once they've 3-bet in that spot with that stack.
I know I would. I mean, with my limited knowledge, if I see that flop, I'm like, all right, I'm getting in there.
If you're super deep, it's probably a mistake. But with his stack depth, that's too easy.
Nice little pot there for JL. Now only
Ben
down
with a
900.
You saw that Ben with a 92% deep hit, 93%.
Yeah, I don't know how relevant B pips are in PLO. Just because.
Oh no, it's very relevant. So if
it is.
a player like Ben, my 3-bet range opens up
an extra
position.
like 20%.
That's one of the reasons why Dustin bought him for 10K again, because
He's in position.
if they play long enough, Dustin's 3-bet range will open up against Ben. I promise you. The deeper you are, the little bit looser you can get versus a player like Ben pre-flop, because you're so deep. And when you're in position, you're naturally just going to make less mistakes than the person out of position.
Carter here looking to drive the action here in position with the ace jack 9-3 double suits. Single suit to the ace.
JL's hand is almost real nice. He'll probably just call here. I like his hand, but it's
no suits.
Just no suits. This is probably one of the few combinations. 9 to ace are one of the few combinations I'm a proponent of. Flop strips. I'm a proponent of playing. That's a rainbow hand. When you have a 9 to ace hand. Just because of your connectivity.
All the cards are connected in some way.
Yeah, and the high card value.
Yeah, that's sort of becoming that much.
This could be a big pot between JP and JL. Trip aces for JL and trip aces for Carter too. I didn't even see that.
JP is actually probably hoping for a raise. JP probably wants to get it in here.
Yeah, because there's just too many other.
It's going to be hard for him to play the turn and river, especially.
There's 6 cards that can pair.
Yeah, especially he's out of position, so it's going to be really hard for him to play.
I don't play hands.
Any turn card.
Any turn card.
I don't know what he's looking for on other than like an 8, right?
He doesn't. I don't know what he's like. If you don't know what you're looking for in the spot, you don't know if this is a good card when you know both players have an ace. It's like you don't know what a good card is. But at his stack to depth ratio, he's doing the right thing. It's like, let's just see where the cards fly. Let's see where they fall. and he's
Pop
probably
on the turn here.
he's probably either going to triple up here or go bust though. I don't see JL getting too aggressive here. I just see JL calling. Or what? What does he have? 30? Yeah, I see JL calling, and Carter's probably just calling as well. So he's either going to triple up here or.
It's almost like a game of chicken between JL and Carter, right? Because they're just trying to figure out, like, okay, did you pair now?
Ooh.
Wow, and he gets the ace king to fold, which is actually huge for Carter now.
Surprised. He had ace king 10-9, right?
Exactly.
So there's only one more 9.
With that, now Carter might have to fold. Carter probably calls if JP calls, if JL calls.
And as we can see on the screen, the only 9 left in the deck is the 9 of hearts. So that'd be absolutely just disgusting if the 9 of hearts comes around the river.
Maybe JL was also thinking that him and Carter were sharing outs. That could have been his thought process there. And he was out of position. He would have threw up in his mouth if if Carter raises him.
Did JL have a 4? No, he had ace king 10.
Ace king 10-9.
That's right.
That's why I was surprised he folded. He had 3 overs to the 8. But it makes sense because he's not closing the action. Carter can't have ace 8 there.
All right, let's play big.
And it would put JL in a tough spot if he calls for a third of his stack just to fold. So
Nice spot there for JP, though.
Again,
He's been a little quiet, but
yeah.
wins a decent one, up about 2K now.
yeah, this goes back to my I don't think folding is wrong there. How much variance do you want to introduce in your life? So I think calling there is fine. I think folding there is fine on what JL did. Yeah, he played that just fine, especially being out of position to Michael Carter.
No, I mean you'll see it. I don't care. I flopped a monster.
It's been an exciting stream so far. If y'all been enjoying our PLO stream so far, hit that like button, hit that sub button. Let us know if you've been enjoying the stream in the live stream chat. We'll be sure to do more PLO streams in the future and have commentators like Alfred here joining me tonight.
My 9 was coming.
Good to see JP bringing in a pot. I know he's been pretty card dead this game, so it's nice to see him bringing in a pot.
Well, and like you said, you don't need to play that many hands of PLO to be profitable. It's that one hand might be enough for him for the session, right? And you got to be really selective. Obviously, you can be probably more passive pre-flop, but once you get on the flop, you really need to know where your hand is in reference to other players.
You need to know where your hand is, and you have to be willing to press sometimes. You cannot be too passive in this game when you have strong equity. You have to be willing to press.
I want you to get sticky right
Kimmy
there.
Stone in the chat says, great job commentating, you guys. Loving the action.
Sticky.
Thank you so much, Kimmy. Hope to see you on one of these PLO streams soon enough.
Yeah. You can definitely play the game.
What's the bet?
Yeah.
After last stream, they must have told him he had
And
to
depending on your holding, sometimes it could be a
so.
mistake to be overly aggressive with your holding, right? Just because of how the hands, or how close the equities can be, right? Like you're blowing the pot, or you're overcommitting.
It's not necessarily a mistake. It goes back to how much variance do you want to introduce.
Yeah, right, you're right. I like your answers. No, you're right. You're right. Because I've heard you say that multiple times. There's just, do you want to be on a more higher variance?
That is one of the beauties about PLO over Hold'em. In Hold'em, there's some absolutes. This is a mistake. This is not. In PLO, it's honestly how much variance do you really want to introduce.
I guess probably another probably like another tier to that is how big is your bankroll, right?
Yeah.
And that goes hand in hand, right?
Yes.
How much variance you want to introduce, and then how big your bankroll is.
That's what makes this game great. So if you're a whale and you know you're the worst player, like that's what's great. That's why whales gravitate to this game, is because they know they're not the better player in the game. But they have more money to
But
get.
they have the variance on their side.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, I think everybody knows Dong, right? Has a lot of money. He's one of those players where in PLO, he needs one hand. And so against a player like that, if I beat him in a couple of hands and I'm up 5, 6, 7K, Well, guys, it's time for me to hit the old dusty
Right,
trail.
'cause that's where he thrives. That's where he thrives, right?
Exactly. He
Is
needs
having
one
you
hit.
covered. Right?
I've seen the man down like 50, 60K in a PLO game, and I come back
I've
and
never seen
he's
Dustin
he's,
blast
he's
off.
up 15, 20.
We sit down.
Like
at the
he
bar
needs
and I go,
one,
I
two
promise
hits.
you,
Like the
it
man
has
is,
happened at
man is a
Hideaway
god
a
when it
time
comes
or
to
two.
PLO. That's
I'm
the
sure
kind
I've
of
seen you blast
because
off.
he's not
There
your
was-
typical whale.
Sorry, go
He's
on.
a whale that
Well,
actually
online,
has
I've
a
done
lot
it
of
too.
PLO
Yeah,
knowledge.
I
I sit on a boomer
So,
jacks, I go, can I
like,
get two fireball shots?
when you get a player like that,
And the
that
girl
is,
brings
in
them
my
to him, he
opinion,
goes, "You're
the most
drinking." I haven't
dangerous
been
player in
drinking in a long
PLO.
time. He goes,
A
"You're
whale
drinking?"
that
I
has
go,
strong
"Nope,
PLO
there you go,
knowledge.
buddy."
Because he's going to give you a lot of action, but he just needs that one. And when he gets it, he'll crush it.
Cannot do that cinnamon.
Huh?
Can't do that.
What about it?
Stomach.
Yeah, he plays big PLO. I don't
Yeah,
know if he
mine
still
one
plays
time,
big
Dustin,
PLO
you
down
said,
there, but in
"Let's see who
Houston, they
gets stuck the most."
have like a
I
25,
texted
1500
KT, I was
game.
like, "We good?"
I've heard him talk about it a few
Yeah.
times. I think
Like, I don't-
he's been playing
There's
up here
like three
more.
people.
Okay,
for
yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't
20,000.
think
was
he's
like,
been down there
"This is terrible.
lately.
Don't say
I've
that,
been seeing him. I've been seeing him in a lot more lately. I'm thinking he's
crazy game,
enjoying Hold'em. I think he's enjoying not having
night
those
he
big
came
swings.
Swings,
That's
yeah.
probably the night he's been driving.
Because his
He's
style
dropping
does
back in my
require
car coming
a
off
lot
the
of
George
swinging.
Strait.
So he's been playing up here more in the Hold'em streets.
I will say that you got really good referrals.
So I mean, that's actually
You have
great
really
knowledge
good,
that you just put out there,
you have a
Alfred. I
good
mean,
rep,
for any of our
because
viewers out there
everyone
that
said
feels
good things
like
about you.
the player
know
pool
why.
When I-
Hold'em
you're that
is
deep,
like
I was-
too tough, because it's easier to whatever be
Ryan,
aggressive pre-flop
however,
and push people
no
out of the
one said
pot.
anything good about him.
If you have the money for it, might be the game for you.
Yeah.
I mean, the equities run so much closer.
I like the
In
people guessing.
in the live format, it's not solved at all, like
Yeah.
you were saying. So it's probably the better route to go if you feel like
Yeah.
you've been playing a lot of no limit and then noticing this like
Yeah.
this might not be the game for me. It's boring. These players don't talk to me. It's not as lively. The PLO's got everything going for it. It's more fun. If you have the money for it, the variance is on your side. You can really put people in tough spots. And
Yeah, like if you're a whale and you're willing to gamble pre-flop, in Hold'em, you're probably only winning what 15, 20% of the time if against like a really good lineup. I don't care how strong the lineup is in PLO. You're going to be a 35 to 40% winner
If you have the variance
If you have
in it, yeah.
if you create that variance pre-flop, because the equities run closer together in PLO. If you create that variance pre-flop as a whale with a lot of money, you're gonna find yourself. That's why they stay in PLO usually if they try it out, because they're like, oh wow,
I'm actually successful. at this, yeah.
I won a bunch of money tonight. Like
Yeah.
they definitely once they come to PLO they don't usually go back.
It's not mine. It's his.
That's an interesting comment.
Joey Pigtails in the chat
What's
says,
his is
biggest
ours.
pot I've ever won was 17K. Side pot and same
said
hand
it has to
was
go,
43K. And the whale who lost, I was on 75K.
Bring us a couple crowns.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Because again, all that whale needs is one, and he can absolutely crush
Just
the
demolish
tournament.
you, yeah.
Yeah, London on
Yeah,
this.
it's a great game. It's,
So lucky, man.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a few. I'm gonna give it a few months, but I'm probably gonna try to hop into PLO soon. But
I would recommend that.
I might be messaging you if you don't mind.
Yeah, like I'm truly an advocate of it. Even starting off, if you just stick to ABC PLO, even then, like what that'll do for you, because like I said, PLO knowledge-wise is 20 years is what Hold'em was 20 years ago. Like you'll still be a break-even to slightly winning player.
I'd be happy to break even.
Yeah, like
to start off.
like, or even more than that if the variance is on your side.
Sure.
But I think at worst, over a sample size, you'd be a break-even player, just being an ABC player in this game, because it's the knowledge base is just not.
Tight is
yeah,
right. Tight is right.
You really can't. You can't overstudy in this game because there's just not the solvers just like I said.
There's
they
not enough
don't apply.
situations to study for. Or
Yeah.
There's too many
There's too many.
situations. Yeah,
There's
there's
too
too
many.
many situations.
Like there's your solvers are really only solve the game up to 6 max.
6 max,
Heads-
probably 100 big blinds.
6 max to heads up to 3-way pots.
Yeah.
Like even at 100 big blinds.
Yeah.
Like it's
Yeah,
just
not even the 200 big blinds.
It's well some of them have they've started getting the 200 to 300 big blind.
But then that's probably just heads up, right?
Heads up to 2 to 3 way. And there's just like look at some of these stacks. Like 10K, 15K, like the stack to the big blind ratio is so deep that like there's just the math is just it's too complex for solvers for solvers right now to solve. So
I have a lot of stories
you
like
don't have
that.
to worry about 6 guys at the table
Had all the
playing
bullets,
GTO because there's no such thing as GTO and PLO.
Just kept walking around.
River card going to give Gary the nuts here.
Yeah.
And JL does have a straight here to the queen. Probably going to get the bad news here is Gary's probably going to pot it here for value.
I don't know if he's gonna.
Maybe not pot, but maybe make it like 350 or 400.
Yeah, if he pots it, honestly, he's only getting value from the other straight, from Jack King. Jack 7 is not even going to give him value. I would even more have liked to see like a min click here, just so because even if you min click it, people are going to want to just pay it to see what you have. This jail.
We'll make the call here.
With 10-8 or Jack 7. No, Jack 10-8. He called with 2 pair.
No, he has a straight.
Oh yeah, he has a straight to the
that's what I was
queen.
saying,
I'm
yeah,
sorry.
straight to the queen.
Yeah.
No, yeah. And, for those of y'all in the chat, give Alfred a little bit of break. This is his first time watching through this format and commentating, and it's obviously I don't want to toot my horn too much, but I make it look a lot easier than it actually is. It's I've been doing it for about 2 years now. It's very hard to follow. So yeah, don't make sure y'all don't give Alfred too much crap in the chat.
I almost peaked.
No, it's weird.
Almost peaked.
Let's see here. Kimmy Stone says, Hayden just said that. You like grinding this game? ? People just getting stacked all the time, LOL, and you get sucked out for all of the chips. But you could be the one doing the sucking out. Right, Kim? Wink, wink. Yeah, I mean, so this other very prominent PLO player in the world, Jay Nandez, when I used to watch some of his videos very frequently, and the thing I always heard him say was rank and connectivity, right? In your hand, sorry. And anytime, the very few times I play PLO, I just try to keep that in mind. Rank, connectivity. And like, even though I see like a suited ace, I'm just like, oh, I'll just fold it sometimes just because like it doesn't have the rank or connectivity that I want to be comfortable with.
That's one of those hands that out of position, I'm folding. In position, I'm seeing flops just because with that, you want to have
the applied odds of hitting that.
And you want to have a strategy. You don't necessarily just want to rely on hitting your flush. There's going to, in position, there's just going to be a lot more situations where you're going to be able to take down a pot.
Right. When it checks to you.
Exactly. So you
probably have a decent amount of equity anyway.
You have more ways of winning with your equity, yeah. So it just depends on where you are. That's why I say like the more position you are, the less these rules apply once you have a strong knowledge base.
Oh yeah, for me, I was just talking about like if I were to just start.
Oh
playing
yeah,
it.
no,
I want to
that's
stick with the basics.
Exactly. When I didn't start breaking away from the basics until like 3 years into PLO. Like I stuck to the basics pretty strong. I think the only bluffs I really did were the ace high flush blocker and occasionally pocket pair blockers. And even then, your knowledge should be a little bit stronger before even you do the pocket pair blockers. So
Gary, we'll make the call here with the gut shot and 2 pair. Hits the gut shot right on the turn there, which is going to give Faisal the queen high straight. So we got nuts against second nuts here. So this could get dicey here for Faisal.
Okay, so Faisal, he's not deep enough to do what I was going to tell him to do. Yeah, he has to fold. So it's one of those weird spots. If they were deep enough, Faisal could call there with the hope of a king, even an ace, or he has the spade blocker, the ace high flush blocker. If they were deep enough, that's still a hand that
he could take away. He could take the pot away if the spade rolls off, and then he still can draw it.
Yeah, or even like an ace or a king. Yeah, so like there's cards that he can bluff there with if they were deep enough. Shallow, he did the right thing. You just got to fold.
Which is
I like this comment.
Which is like almost unheard of, right? We have the second nuts just fold.
Read this comment.
Yeah, Mo the Cat here says, "Hey commentators, I hear that PLO is taking over for one reason or other, but this has been like this for the last 15 years. Still, Hold'em is the overwhelming favorite of the players.
I think Hold'em will always be the most popular game, just because it has the barrier to entry is so much
lower.
less.
Yeah.
Yeah, so much lower. Like it's an easy game. I remember the first thing I heard about Hold'em.
And you
Easy
probably
game to learn,
can't. You
hard game
probably
to master.
can't like learn PLO that well unless you kind of have a moderate understanding of No Limit.
Sounds good.
Or do you think, or not but like at least a decent background?
No,
on
I think it's actually
card.
probably easy to learn PLO if I wouldn't have known Hold'em.
Oh,
That's-
just go in.
That's what.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, that's what makes it harder for Hold'em players to get
it's
in
completely different
because they're
game.
trying to apply Hold'em principles to PLO. So when you're learning PLO, you have to unlearn some things that you do in Hold'em, or not apply. I didn't say unlearn, but not apply some things you learn in Hold'em, and it's just there's some things that are just counterintuitive to what you would do in Hold'em.
So I guess Mark raised a great point too, with solvers being more and more readily available to players, and I mean I've even talked to some like very serious rec players that use solvers, right?
Yeah.
and that's kind of scary to think about, right?
Yeah.
For a 2-card game, even people that play this game maybe once or twice a week have access to solvers
Yeah.
very easily, like GTO Wizard. I mean that's a very basic one,
Yeah.
but when a game like PLO isn't really available, like doesn't really have solvers, that's probably like the safer game to play, right? If you're trying to make money in the game. or whatever.
I think Hold'em will always be the most popular game.
But it's just going to get more and more difficult, like
Yeah,
Mark is saying.
but you're going to start seeing the reason. Okay, so Houston is the one city where I've seen that has more PLO than Houston. The reason is
Or more PLO than No Limit.
more PLO than Hold'em. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
The reason is Houston is also one of the wealthiest cities in the country, and all the money doesn't stop. So all the big money players have just realized they have much more fun. They get more bang out of their buck when they play PLO. So that's why it's taken over in Houston. But for the general population who are just there to have fun and relax, Hold'em gives them that. I think Hold'em will always be the more popular outlet for people to play poker.
Who is?
But I do think PLO could one day be set, be a close set. I don't think it'll ever be the most popular.
Which probably might be a good thing, right? In the long run, right? Like
Yeah.
if it's constantly the second, then people are going to constantly overlook it.
Well,
right?
I know some pros that they can't apply solvers to it. They're not moving to that game, and this is why.
I'll hop in PLO and I notice the pros aren't going to play.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, but there's some pros that won't, and
great,
so
yeah.
like there's one. I don't think PLO will have to worry about an oversaturation of too many players, which would attract more pros, and pros aren't going to get into it because they're still very popular on the Hold'em side because the game is still popular. So as long as Hold'em will remain the most popular game, and it will, I think, stay the most popular game.
It'll keep PLO
It'll-
kind of safe for
Exactly.
rec play.
Exactly.
Gary goes, we don't know who that is.
And pros that are willing to play PLO, it will benefit them. So, yeah.
Yeah, definitely very interesting to talk about. And I really do appreciate you bringing all these points for our viewers, because I think a lot of our viewers probably might be a little hesitant to hop into the PLO streets. Maybe like, some of our viewers even said in the chat, it's just bingo. And I think you talking about this brings to light, the benefits of playing PLO, or there's a lot more strategy than meets the eye. Right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I do appreciate you bringing all those points up.
Yeah, but like I said before, for people that weren't here earlier, because there are no solvers for live PLO, like the amount of different strategies you see people apply is different. So you get different kind of games in PLO. It's not like a stand like 2-5. You'll say, oh, that's a standard 2-5, right? Like so. There's like 4 pros, 5 pros, and a couple of decent players, and maybe 1 or 2 like bad players. In PLO, you get all these combinations of good players, recreational players, some recreational that are good players. Like I would classify Michael Carter. He's a recreational player,
But
but
probably a solid win.
his
player,
knowledge
yeah.
base is one of the strongest I've ever seen.
No one knows
Like,
what you're talking about.
And that's probably years of playing it.
yeah,
That
you don't
one
see you don't see a player who like Michael Carter,
Ace of
I think, in
diamonds in my
Hold'em,
hand,
who's
Promise?
he's never made his living off of
Ace
poker.
of diamonds.
He does it recreational,
This you don't have to
but
go. I mean,
he's a profitable player because his knowledge of the game is so strong. Like his experience, like he's been playing these kind of games, if I had to guess, probably for 20, 25 years. So, and his ability to apply that knowledge in a game where there's no solvers. That's why he's gravitated to mixed games, is because there's no solvers for this game. So for him to apply his knowledge, it just gives him a huge advantage over players in PLO, high-low, and other mixed games that he likes to play.
It's got worse.
Yeah, and I mean, me personally, I've kind of gravitated to actual mixed limit games. You know? So like, because
There we go.
I imagine there's really not that many solvers for, or probably not even any
No,
solvers
there's
for
no.
mixed.
There's no.
So
Oh, man.
Anything that is, especially anything that's a split pot game, there's no solvers for it.
right.
I'm still gonna call it.
So like the game where we're playing, we're Razdusi or
Yeah.
Badusi, right?
Almost all your games are split pot games.
yeah, a lot of them are.
Yeah, there's.
I need
They don't even.
king,
They
queen,
hadn't
jack
even
of diamonds.
started trying to do solvers for split pot games.
That's good. Please don't.
Yeah. So if you play high low, you're safe. You're completely safe from solvers if you play high low. Like the math, like the more variables you add, the math just compounds exponentially.
What if I said she
Oh,
replaced
we got a
my-
paired board. This actually probably Gary checks.
Just gonna turn the nuts for
Yeah.
Gary, which is probably over. So you
Yeah.
can continue on these hands where it's like a lock. We don't really
Yeah.
have to talk much
Yeah.
about it because it's
Yeah.
not much exciting.
Except Carter actually is gonna bet. Oh.
He's gonna get Rye Guy to make the call too with his overpair and the gut
Oh.
shot.
Okay,
Is it
Gary
too
pops.
close to killers?
This is one of those few
New
times
room is
where I would have liked to
I
have
mean,
seen
beautiful.
Where's Kelly?
a smaller raise.
Right down Harry Hines.
Gary?
Like almost a min raise, right?
Yeah, you're just you're just not giving them any room to make a mistake here. At least if he raises to 800,
It's a good 15.
They still might call,
900.
yeah.
You're like,
Because you're trying to target a 10,
Yeah.
which you don't want a 10 to fold,
Yeah.
which would be disastrous, right?
because
So,
he has the jack blocker. The only cards he doesn't want to see is a queen,
ace,
king, or
king,
ace.
yeah.
Like, so it's one of those spots where you don't want to slow play, I would say, but you want to allow your players to make a mistake, right? So I would have liked to see an $900 raise, and at least allow them, especially those players are good, so they're not going to make that mistake. Probably they're probably folding anyway. But if they have a 10, say he has 10 ace
I
king,
think you're mediocre.
they're probably calling, and they're not getting the right price to call with 6 ace, right? So it's one of those things where I would like to see Gary switch it up there and
Kind of throw a wrench in my plan.
try to get some value from those hands.
So as we're switching up dealers here, looks like we got Suzanne dealing the second half here. Thank you so much to Brittany dealing the first half. Did a great job, I think.
There's two
Managed to
bowls in there.
get
I don't think you
about
want to eat
25
a
hands.
In an hour?
No, that could be right. Actually, more than that, because we were on hand 20.
For 2 hours in?
Yeah, we were on hand 20 back when that error happened, right?
Yeah.
So she probably got like 40 or 50 hands, which is pretty good.
Yeah.
20 hands an hour at PLO. That's I don't on a stream game as well.
Yeah.
That's pretty solid from Brittany. So
Yeah.
really appreciate her dealing first
you're-
half.
I am
Yeah,
glad
your
you got
average is going to be
At least 5 hands less.
Yeah, low in 9 if there's a lot of action
Try to get on the schedule.
or if the dealer's inexperienced.
5K.
The high end, if there's just
20 to 25.
if there's no action, you're like in an hour you'll get like anywhere between 18 to
Nothing.
if there's no action and the hands are just going quick 28 hands.
So it looks like we got a shot of our room here. Of course, full house as always. We can see a PLO game running right now. I think in table 8. See a lot of PLO regulars there.
I know there's another 5-5 same format as this that's going off stream.
They took
Yeah,
off 60.
yeah, there's another 5-5
Oh,
going.
you gonna get on the list after this
Yeah.
game?
No, I don't. If I play, I usually like to play. I usually like to start around
Midday.
yeah, well, like around 5 or 6,
Alright,
and play to like 10 or 11. I only like playing 5 or 6 hour sessions.
I'm actually well, so I like to Sam the same way, but on those days where I get like stuck or something, I end up playing way longer than I should probably. And I've even noticed that's why it's so good to track your results too. I mean, it's kind of a side note. You can literally see the days where you like, or at least for me personally, I can see the days where I extend myself over like 7-8 hours, where I have a losing session way more often. And it's like, wait a minute, if I just keep myself to the 4 to 6 hour range, I'm a hugely profitable player. And then like
My biggest tip to players is
Still do 7.
don't quit or stop based off of if you're winning or losing.
sure.
Remember, it's one long session. Unless you're playing poker for the rest of your life, which I don't think any of us are.
Kidding me.
Just remember, it's one long session. If you don't feel like playing poker anymore, go home. I don't care if you're winning or losing.
What?
That
It's a
goes.
flip.
If you're winning,
Kind of part of it.
yeah, if you're winning and you double up the first hand or triple up the first hand, but you still feel like you're
But
playing your A
you're
game,
excited or happy to play.
yeah, just keep playing. Don't let results dictate
Did you take the
your sessions. Like,
You got it?
if you feel like you're playing your A game, keep playing.
And I guess the opposite too, right? If you start to feel like you're getting a little bit tilted,
Exactly.
I mean, for me, I get kind of bad about this too. I'll like sometimes play through eating, and like I've also noticed too is like if I get really hungry, I start playing terribly,
Yeah.
and that's when I should leave.
That's
right?
why I'm especially.
That's why you play during the midday.
I'm older. I'm 36, and I have to be more health conscious. So I don't like eating when I play. So I eat a. My biggest meal of the day is usually before I come play, and then I bring like a little granola bar type thing. Yeah, like 3 or 4 hours in to eat, and then by that time I'm hungry again. I go home and I eat my dinner. I don't like anything to cloud my mind while
I've noticed that too. If I,
What happened? Is it still?
I guess I need to be better at trying to get a routine. It's like the days where I wake up, I have a solid meal, and then I come and play, are the days that I play my A game or play the best. It's when I like try to. I forget to eat and come here and play, and then I'm like ordering food, and then I'm eating, and then or I forget to eat, and I'm even hungrier, and then it's like it's a bad combination.
I'm a very.
It makes you really
routine
realize. Yeah, sorry.
person. No, I'm a very routine person.
Only the winners can blind his.
Everything compounds onto it. Like you make a bad mistake in the day, you notice that it compounds.
No,
Right?
it makes you realize how much more of your mind you're actually using when you're playing. It's when you're making mistakes like, oh, how much sleep did I get last night? Did I drink last night? Like, you really notice these things when you play a lot of hours like me and Alfred. It's like, wow, like I went out with friends, had a drink, and then I didn't eat breakfast for it, but I'm choosing to come and play, and I lost 2 buy-ins. And it's like, why did I do that? Right? Where like you have to have the mental wherewithal to be like, okay, today's probably not the best day to play because I'm not all mentally here. I'm not gonna be able to play my game.
Yeah. That comment about
That's what other players are banking on. So you come in here not playing your A game,
Yeah.
right?
And that's honestly my superpower. That
So it was
viewer
out of
that
the ordinary.
I appreciate the compliment saying I'm one of the better players in the room. It's because of my consistency. I don't. I'm the same player every day. Like I tweak my strategy a little bit. I'm always trying to get better, of course. But in terms of my mental focus, I'm the same. I try to. I pride myself on. I don't tilt. If I'm on tilt, that means I don't feel like playing poker, guys. And guess what? When I don't feel like playing poker, I go home.
Yep.
So I never like. I've actually had that. I've had that kind of discipline for the last, I don't know, 12, 14 years. Like if I go on tilt, that means I don't feel like playing poker. If I don't feel like playing poker, you go home.
Yeah, no, I've been really trying to focus on that, on my mental state while I'm playing, and to really like hone in on that and try to do what you're saying. Like if I'm not in the right mindset, I should leave, right? And
Ben is going to get aggressive on this hand.
I used to be so bad at that when I'd play a lot more up north, where I would just be like, regardless of I would try to play through the tilt, right? and then for all of us in the chat, we all know that's a disaster waiting to happen.
Because you get impatient.
Yeah.
You start pressing more. You start playing more out of position, right? You start playing hands.
The time between good hands feels even longer.
Yeah.
When you're tilted.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be right back. I'm gonna use the restroom.
Yeah. I'm after you. No, you go. You go ahead. You go ahead. That's fine. All right. J Barris 80 would love to learn PLO, but match stack PLO is a huge game. Yes, but in cash games, my personal opinion, that does not apply. I think people misconstrue that. Even in a tournament, the reason big stacks can bully you, right, is because your tournament life is at risk. Blinds go up, you have less maneuverability, right? So that is why big stacks matter in tournaments. In a cash game, guess what? If you buy into our 125 PLO for $200, you're only in for $200. And in PLO, the math is so close that if you have a hand like
It's the weirdest place for the
ace jack 10-8 with the ace suited, and it gets in three-way, guess what? A three-way pre-flop, you have enough equity. I promise you, you're a winning player in that spot in the long run for $200. So in cash games,
I mean, I'll just have to go like that.
don't worry about the other big stacks. In fact, as a PLO player who likes to play deep stack, I hate the small stacks because you guys can cause so much chaos. It's ridiculous. Small stacks in PLO have so much power in this game that you don't understand. It's crazy, and you're always getting the right price. So like if you say I raise for 40 and you repop it to 170 and you have $30 behind, but you reopen the action, all of a sudden all these players have to worry about me for betting and juicing the pot more. It creates a crazy dynamic. And guess what? All that dead money that enters the pot just gives you more. Like all of a sudden now you're getting the right price no matter what. So like don't let the big stacks scare you, man. If you want to play PLO here at Texas Card House, you can learn fairly cheap. Like 200, like minimum buy-in, $200. And what I would recommend, the first time I played PLO, I literally just sat there and watched the action. I sat there with my money and just watched the action. And if I got aces, single suited or double suited, I was in there and I was gambling it up. But anyway, I remember the first time I played, it's like you can just sit there and just watch. Like if people are calling you, man, you're tight, you're in it. It's okay. You're there to learn, right? So don't be afraid. I was answering this question. Would love to learn PLO and match the stack, and I was telling them it doesn't really. I would say don't worry about that. It doesn't.
You got to keep in mind you're playing your effective stack too.
Yes.
So like and this goes for no limit as well, right? Like I hear people say, I
playing
don't want to hop.
strategies,
Yeah, I don't want to hop into 2.5 no limit here because of how deep everyone is. Just because you see someone with a 10K stack, you can buy in for the $1,000 or even 500 for 100 big blinds. You're playing your $500 effective stack, and honestly, you're kind of advantaged in the sense where they don't have any fold equity against you.
That's what
You can get it in with your nut flush draw. You can get it in with your combo draw. Not have to worry about getting stacked for 10K.
Yeah, that's what I was telling them. Like as a deep stack PLO player, you guys, like I was telling, short stacks actually scare me.
They have the advantage.
Yes, because they can create so much chaos, especially pre-flop. You can create so much chaos. It's crazy because if you have the ability to reopen the action, and guess what? You're always getting the right price because you're always probably getting at least 3 to 1 on your money. So you're getting such a good price, and you're reopening the pot. You're causing these. Like I've seen like a $200 stack cause a 10, 15K pot pre-flop, and they're all mad at the small stack because he was the one that reopened the pot. And it's like at the very least, you get to create so much chaos as a short stack. I personally hate it. That's why I also like the 5-5 mush rattle because usually the minimum buy-in is 1,000, so they don't have as much power. They still have some power at 1,000 to do that kind of stuff, but they're risking more. But in a 125 PLO, you can what I call F the play up. You can create so much chaos in a 1-2-5 PLO with $200. It's insane.
And looks like we're gonna get some action here, and from the 1 seat, Medi here, aka Galoo, gonna join us here.
Oh, Medi's great for the game. Medi's an awesome guy.
It makes it a lot easier.
You're welcome to use the restroom.
Oh yeah.
You don't want to.
It's just a group. It's just like a
Let's take a look here. Looks like Ben's still leading the action here, up about 8,400.
Bad hands.
Are you saying you don't want us to scramble them?
Mark Weiss says, I hate the small stacks and hold them too. Yeah.
I've talked to Suzanne about that several times.
I gotta say, guys, hearing Alfred talk about this game is getting me really interested to try to learn PLO, or at least try to play more of it.
Good, they don't see the trash I'm playing.
Here's my card.
And Queen Jack 4-3, double suits. Imagine it'll come in for at least a call.
Leave him?
Yeah, and again, we're gonna see a lot of loose passive play pre-flop a lot of the time, unless holdings like Dustin, where he has Ace Deuce Jack 10 double suited.
My cards on your thing just to make it all.
Pot it here, trying to isolate. Here we can make the call here with King Jack 5. And I imagine we're going to see calls from Ben and JL. We're going to go multi-way as typical here in a live PLO game.
Move this 3C.
70?
This needs to be.
If I were to pick a hand here, I like Dustin's hand the best. It has the most playability, right? But you just don't know until the flop comes here.
Where the best spot is.
Let's come Ace 10 8. Unfortunately for Dustin, he hits his top pair, but JL with the best hand right now with bottom sets.
I haven't been able to call
And no one with no, excuse me. Gary with the royal draw here.
What's this guy's name?
Maddie.
Huh? Medi.
Excuse me, Gary with the royal draw. And of course, gut shot to Broadway. Looks like Ben's going to come along with a double gutter. Any king, any 9. We'll give him the nut straight.
On you, Suzanne.
It's right here.
And look at that, king on the turn is going to give Ben the best hand. But Gary will have second set with the nut flush draw and the royal draw still. I think Dustin can pretty comfortably fold this hand here, even though flopping the top 2 pair, which, excuse me, I missed initially. And massive amount of equity change here. Dustin did have a massive amount of equity. JL actually had about 98% or about 90% on the flop, and that just all went to dust. The king came out on the turn.
Yeah, with the pot size bet, I could definitely see Dustin.
Oh, I didn't even see that he has clubs too. Jeez.
Yeah, that's why he's thinking so long. He's trying to decide. They're pretty deep, so he might peel here. But if he peels, I promise you he has a plan even if he doesn't hit. So say like the 8 pairs the board. I think something like that he would even might consider putting in a bluff.
He has a lot of options here.
Yeah, they're so deep that a call makes a lot of sense.
Now Gary kind of put in the spot here, and again out of position, probably the worst spot you want to be playing,
Yeah,
especially in this game.
Oh, he's deciding whether to just get it in. Oh, he might call with this. Oh, I see what he's because he actually does have enough equity here.
Oh, and there's the royal. There's the royal flush.
Wow.
Bink City on the river here for Gary, and he will ship it all in. It looks like. No, excuse me. He's just gonna bet 2K.
Yeah, that's that card is gonna. Yeah, it's one of those because it's also a diamond. They just gotta let it go. But Gary had the nut flush. Yeah, it's like I didn't see that he had the flush draw with his set. That was an easy call.
And I guess it's one of those spots too, right, where folding sometimes is fine too, but it's like again, how much variance? Or no, he had set with the nut flush draw.
No,
right?
he has too much equity to fold, especially once Dustin's in there. He's definitely getting the right price.
I guess it doesn't matter of whether or not how high of a variance we're willing to take, right?
It's hard.
Call and just try to hit, and
Yeah,
then
wait,
So you're rarely folding a combo draw where,
right. So
where
he's not folding, but how often do you want to try to get it in, and then obviously possibly break off and then lose your whole stack, or just call and
this
then
is
have some money?
honestly, once Dustin calls there,
728.
because he has all the nut outs, I would not have minded him just shipping it there.
Okay.
Because with him being out of position, it's almost impossible for him to get paid there. Because now you're taking over the action with two people to act behind you. It's really hard to get paid there out of position.
Yeah, to bet that large on the river into two people
Yeah.
is just you're screaming that you have a flush.
Yeah,
right?
and, and plus I don't think he would have had he didn't have a. I think he only had like what 3,000 behind.
Yeah,
after
yeah.
that. If he
Less
would-
than pot.
Yeah, even in position, I would have rathered him just ship it there if Dustin calls. But if he's as deep as they are, I would actually like a just call because it'll. Because then now at this point, a bluff makes more sense, right? If you're potting for 5K or I think it would have been it would have been 5,200. If you're potting for 5,200 there, when they check to you, a bluff makes sense. You might get a straight to call you there.
Wow, interesting spot here. JP against Becca here. Becca with the better trips.
Sam, what do you do? You play poker for a living? You play poker like you do? No. What do you do?
JP had all the unders, so it was pretty much. I think anyone who bets there probably because Becca's card is paired. If JP would have bet, if she had pocket eights in her hand, I think if JP bets, she folds. He checks, so she bet. I think whoever bets first there wins that hand.
The next hand here. And after that pot for Gary, now he's one of the big winners, up about 5K. We can see how swingy this game is. Dustin was up about 3,400 really early on, lost that massive pot against Ben, down to now 3,400.
Oh, Ben?
I'm saying how swingy the game is.
Oh,
Like,
yeah,
Dustin was up early, up about 34, and then now he's down 34.
Yeah. Yeah, especially when you hit one of those spots versus another deep stack player, it can definitely.
It was late. It was late. I get it. He's a good player, though. He's a solid player.
Yeah, talking about the swinginess. Game is. I was in a 5-5 game. I think it was 2 to 3 weeks ago. I started off the session down 6K. I was in for 6K, not down 6K. I was in for 6K.
Ryan, you did.
A buddy of mine's in the chat.
I was in for 8K. I was down 5K. I was in for 8K.
You
And
didn't play the last like 4 days or whatever?
mind you, the total session was like 4 hours long.
It's like, if he
It was in for 8K, cashed out for plus 5K. It was a really good game.
That's just insane. And only in 4 hours, too, huh?
Yeah, but that's why
Wait, was
I
that
knew-
here?
Yeah, it was,
Oh my God.
table 6. It was a good 5-5 game. I think it was 3 weeks ago.
Blood pressure's
But the game, that's what I'm saying. I knew the game was so good. If I could just get through
Find that
the,
one hand.
well, I could just get through the paint. I was losing it. I was taking some pretty
every
sixes.
morning.
I was like, if I could just take the pain tolerance and
So it doesn't take, it's not like.
I knew I would have a chance to,
No, you can't. No, you're supposed to just take
get my
what
money
they
to
have.
win to be profitable.
I've never.
Well, I mean, I imagine that's what helped your mental state too, right? Knowing that even though you were losing a game where it could barely turn on a dime like that.
I went to
Right?
I told myself going into that game, I was like, well, I'm willing to live. I'm willing to lose 10K. So
like it used to be so
let's just
low,
hope I
couldn't get
10K.
blood.
I already told myself going into that game. I was
Oh,
like,
okay, then you were in the right mental state.
Yeah. I lost one of those spots. I was like, "Look, good hand though.
JL looking
3K,
to
please.
pot here. Essentially all in. Potting for 1,700 on the turn with a little bit of a combo draw here. Gary with...
I think probably
Gary's actually in a tough spot here because he has a wrap, but the flush draw blocks a good chunk of his outs. So JL taking the lead is really smart on his part.
Against two hands that are currently having him crush in equity here. Not crushed, but a decent amount for both of them.
Yeah.
which is a huge win for JL, right? If you can get Gary and Galoo to fold here,
He's trying to get a hand like Gary to fold. This bet is his goal is trying to get a hand like Ace Queen Jack to fold. That is what he's trying to do, because one, it increases some of his outs versus a hard hand, and
like bottom set.
Two, just to try to get.
Those were clearances, so you're
He's
welcome
trying
to
to get
hide.
someone to fold out a lot of their equity.
But
Gary's in a tough spot here because he really doesn't want to get it in here, and he doesn't know what.
Galoo might do.
I know him as Nettie. I'm gonna try to remember
Sorry,
to call him
yeah,
Galoo.
oh, yeah, I'm just gonna call him by the street.
Yeah, he doesn't. That's what's really holding Gary up. He doesn't know what Galoo's
We'll be
gonna
good
do,
friends soon.
and and Galoo has just enough. It doesn't matter because he only has $50 behind, but he doesn't really want to get it in for 3,500 if he doesn't have to.
Yeah, the 700 probably decent enough here, but yeah,
If
3,500.
Galoo wasn't there, he definitely calls. I don't even think he really hesitates that much. I think he gambles here versus JL.
I think Gary might have raised actually.
Yeah, but Galoo with his top pair open in. Oh, he has a wrap. He has a little sucker wrap. When I say sucker wrap, what I mean is all of his outs are not live. So when that's all I mean by when I say sucker wrap.
Wow, and it goes
Gary's not folding barrel.
There's a level
Ace 10. Will be the best hand here.
It's probably it might go check. I think Gary might be content with just us checking it down here. He really can't get called by worse here anyway. I could see Gary checking here.
Game out there on Friday nights. It's a lot of fun. You know Fred?
Oh, he bet it.
Yeah.
You have a boat?
You ever been?
Oh, he did bet 1,000. He bet 1,000. I don't know. It's hard to get called by worse there.
Oh, I hate to, but I'm telling you.
Yeah, he was ahead. He was beating JL, but Galoo was ahead on the turn with the king. He needed like a deuce to come on the river.
Rough night here for JL, and after that fist bump, I imagine that's the last hand there for JL.
Yeah,
And we're bringing in, it looks like another regular. You'll know this guy. John.
Which John?
Asian John.
Oh, yeah.
JMA.
No, he's a good player.
Likes to play deep, likes to play big pots.
No, he's another guy. Keeps a little bit closer to the vest than Michael Carter, but another guy who
Very good understanding.
yeah,
Anytime I
very
deal,
good
I
understanding
can
of-
tell, like I can see like the wheels spinning in his head. Like he's always thinking about the hand.
Yeah, but he can think outside the box too. In spots. He has a strong knowledge base. You can tell he has a lot of experience
Pretty looking hand.
playing these kind of games.
Pretty looking hand.
Gigi's in the chat for JL. Not the night for him. We'll probably see him a lot playing our Tuesday streams though, because he likes to play our big Tuesday
Yeah,
games as well.
he's a very well-rounded player. That's the way it goes sometimes in PLO.
So they just get stacked.
But that's one reason why, like, especially in his position, that last hand he had, it was disconnected. Stuff like that's one of those spots where you can help yourself. Where, especially if you're not as experienced as a player like JL, probably just best to fold that pre-flop because I think he was under the gun.
The meme saying just fold pre.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of truth to that. There's a lot of truth to that.
Especially he was out of position. Like if you're gonna play those kind of hands,
Be in position.
you want to stick to position. You won't get caught up as much because of his position. That's why he pressed it, because he just it's one of those things where he didn't know really what to do. So it's like it just felt better to press it.
I'm really gonna try to take it to heart if I ever try PLO. It's just like really focus on where my position is. It's just like hijack cut off button, hijack cut off button, like you're saying.
You stick with those three things, like those three positions. Your chances of success go way up.
It's just so much easier to realize where your hand's at.
Exactly, especially in multi-weight pots. People like you're not going to see a whole lot of Ben players where even in multi-weight pots he's going to be aggressive and try to take his hands down. Most players in multi-weight pots play pretty straightforward. So in position, it gives you a chance to steal some hands sometimes. It just gives you a chance to essentially play perfectly from that position. You're probably going to make the better folds from that position. You're probably going to make your bets are probably going to be more successful in that position. It usually it works out better in the long run.
So JP does have the mystery hand here. So the only other deuce available is the deuce of clubs.
If I had to guess, JP is just betting his aces. If I had to guess, I would say Ben is ahead. Yeah, Ben's ahead. Yeah. JP just smooth called the raise pre-flop, so I knew he had bad aces.
Eight of the spade.
He probably didn't even have a suit in his hand. He probably was.
Given how many diamonds are out on the screen, I doubt his ace was suited.
No, if his ace was suited, he puts in a raise pre-flop. Especially in position, he would want to try to gain position.
Good dealer.
Being in the he was in the cutoff.
He was in the
there.
cutoff,
Yeah,
but
that's
he would
fine.
want you want to give the button a reason to fold
I used to play in Fort Worth together all the time.
when you
Why
have
do you come to this
even when
game?
you have a
This
hand
game
like
in
that.
Argyle
You want position.
The most fun game I play at. It's
So, but
People-
he was probably at the
Like, we've all
bottom
been
of his
playing poker for a
ace
long time.
range there.
people who don't take poker seriously and just have fun and sling chips around. That's what I like, man.
What game is it? Is it PLO?
Yeah,
Is it PLO?
it's dealer's choice.
How is he at 1%? I don't know what
One
you're
hand
talking
around.
about, but probably because
It's hold'em. It's not
the
hold'em.
card
I
reader
just don't tell people that. 'Cause they go,
Ugh,
oof.
yeah.
is basically calculating
I-
what's left
I hate
in
the hold'em.
how many of
But if you
the
saw
how many of the players'
there's
outs
this
are
one
still
guy
left in
named
the
Daniel
deck.
Lujan, and he's
So
the
the
worst
math-
guy you've ever seen in your
Yeah,
entire
math is
it does take
yeah.
into account dead outs.
Yeah, so your general math is not going to really apply here because the card reader can tell
Just kidding.
how many
But no, it's a really
outs he
fun
actually
game.
has. So
But I know anybody,
1%
Mike?
1% means he probably only had one
Anybody
one
from
card left in the
that
deck
area that
that was
played
still
with us
in
for a long
that was
time?
still
No,
in play.
it's mostly
Different.
younger crowds. But
Oh.
they're all pretty solid players.
Okay, another flop here. 10-6-3.
You've never been,
Pretty boring flop in general. JP does flop middle set.
Man.
And looks like Rye Guy.
We want the old J.
How?
Yeah,
Oh, because he's the only one with the flush draw.
Frontward tack, J.
Yeah. Freaking turn that thing backward and put
JP's
sunglasses
he's
on
choosing
your
to
head.
get aggressive with this, which
I
I like because he should he should only get raised here by the top of people's ranges. So 7, 8, 9 with diamonds, set of tens. Those are 4, 5, 7 with diamonds. Those are the only hands that really should 4-bet him here. So I like him taking control of his hand. He can make better decisions now with him now that he's raised.
It's like the biggest.
It allows him to not make a big mistake on the turn or river.
And I make it a point to go.
And we can see there, as he gets hands to fold, see how much his equity increases, right? And I want our viewers to keep an eye on that, right? Because in a spot where you feel like you might be trying to play passive,
Now he's crushing it.
Yeah.
This is probably going to go check.
If you ever
Tournaments, yes, but cash, no.
Okay. It's going to go check. JP's probably going to bet, and then it's hand over. Put in a small bet, try to get value from a king or overpair. Yep, takes it
Nice
down.
hand there for JP.
He played that right. That's how you want to play your set right there. If someone leads, his middle set, someone leads, raise, because the only hands that really should be 4-betting there are at the top of people's ranges. He shouldn't be getting raised by bottom set. Shouldn't even getting raised there by the only hand that he would dominate that he might get raised by, which he blocks, is 10-6. There's only really one combination of that left. So
J-Mo, go somewhere else, man.
the only hand, any other hand that's raising him there is either
I'm telling you
he's
to go
either
somewhere else.
a slight dog two, which is a wrap and a flush draw, or the top set, which he's crushed. And they'll let him know really quick on the flop that he can make a correct fold.
Right, but I mean, but regardless of there's only a few hands, right? He said haven't crushed, so like he should really be doing that pretty often with those middle sets, because I mean we just saw on the screen how much that cleaned up the equity when he did get it out of the 5 ways to the flop. Right?
Where also a lot of people make mistakes is when they smooth call a middle set there in a 4 or 5-way pot. You don't know where you're at. Like you just like
because they're so bad.
it puts you in a lot of bad spots on the turn where you're just hoping now people check.
Yeah,
So
but
you
it's
like, okay,
for the chips
now I know
too.
I have a
Like,
best
they're
hand.
gonna be able
But then
to
now you
really
just gave another
chips.
free card to the river.
Yeah.
So everything will
It's
be
like,
automated.
now
to
you're
where
not
we
getting
bet.
any value for your
They don't
hand.
have to relay that. The
It's one of those
chips will
things
have
where
to
I'd rather you be aggressive
RFIDs
early
in them.
and have a plan if you get raised.
So when they
then,
move their bet now,
then
it'll
hope
be able to read
you
that.
have the best hand by the river.
I forgot what I had.
So everyone, welcome seat 5 to our game tonight. Another new player. Goes by John. Probably might go by JMA or something. Very regular player in our card room. We'll flop trip 3s with the 8-4-3 deuce here. Justin has a straight flush draw.
Yep, good shot. This is great.
I bet you he makes $300 a month.
Galoo will probably just. Oh, what's his stack? He might get it in here with his. He's not that deep. I can see a call R raise here by Galoo.
Looks like he will go for the raise.
He's not very deep, so it's one of those things where he'd rather just take it down now. Yeah, get it in or take it down. Yeah.
So what are you doing tomorrow night?
Makes sense. He doesn't want to give a hand like Dustin the right, because Dustin essentially is giving himself the. He's taking the lead while except on the same time
setting his price.
He didn't underbet the pot, but he
Can we get a transfer?
he might get a bet fold, which is I like that strategy. People will tell you where you're at. I'd rather him bet fold than check call, because now he doesn't. Now he's calling, not even knowing if he's calling without. He could already be dead. But if he bets, he might even take it down. That's a pretty static
Is
board.
this scanner bigger than the circle?
It allows him to, one, maybe take the pot down, two, find out if he's way behind. So, yeah, Dustin played that right as well. Both players played that.
Derek and Alfred.
Played their hands correctly there.
Dustin, why don't you play
The way I would
Poker
like
House
to play it. I'm not going to say correctly.
Why don't you play at Poker House?
What do you mean?
Why don't you play there?
I didn't get invited.
Becca has ace, 10 suited.
I did get invited from
3 spades in her hand.
when Kim was doing it, but I declined it.
Oh, okay. Dustin's opening up his 3-bet range here. Queen, Jack, 7-6. But Dustin's goal here, he wants to get it heads up. He does not want this to go multi-way. Yeah, Becca has what she has, so she can get most of her money in here. She's gonna do it, which is what she's supposed to do.
I'm in for 20,000.
Now Justin probably is going to. Oh, he just calls.
Yeah, he just called.
Well, yeah, Galoo's not deep enough to. Galoo wants to play. He's gonna
I
play.
had tripled up on my first.
What Galoo should be doing here is, if he wants to play,
He should just jam, right?
jam.
Yeah.
Twice in a row.
But Dustin's probably still calling anyways, but you do want to just jam here.
But now he's getting Dustin to call back.
Yeah.
That's
the key.
He
Yeah.
knows Dustin doesn't have aces,
450
so he knows his king is at least better than Dustin. He knows he might be behind, but because they're not deep enough for him to really warrant him doing this, he's not going to get a big enough side pot for it to make sense.
Yeah,
So Galoo is probably
150 times 4.
calling or folding.
600 plus the middle.
Hold on. Don't do math.
If
guys.
he
math
was
now.
deeper with Dustin, I could see him applying that, trying that.
620, guys.
So the pot was 620. You're gonna correct that here, and now Galoo in a spot here where, again, I do agree with Alfred here. If he is gonna play this hand, I think he should probably just get it in.
Okay, cool. That's probably good for you.
He's.
Especially
I mean, there's
with him
multiple things working against him. Right? He's out of position. He's not suited to any king. So if for some reason Dustin just has a hand that he could fold, you'd want to get it in now, right? To fold out that equity, which Dustin's probably not folding.
There it is. He's going all in.
I got folded.
And we're going to see a 3-way all-in here. Ace is currently in the lead right now, but obviously anything could happen here. Any 2 pair for Dustin trips.
Be about an $800 pot, so he gets a rebate versus Dustin.
Hey, I like the way you think, but I don't believe it.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, there's gonna be. I'm sorry. There's gonna be a.
Didn't know we-
10, there's gonna be a 10 case or a 2 case side pot, because he has 1,000 more than Becca.
Yes,
So it's
yes,
gonna
yes,
be a
yes.
2K.
2K side pot.
So he gets a really nice. He did. That's exactly how he should play it there. If he's gonna play.
He's price committing Dustin to call off with a bad hand, and then you can see all 5 cards without out of position to fully realize your equity here.
And he knows he at least has the better starting hand than Dustin.
He knows he's behind Becca, right?
Their equities are close. Like Dustin still has strong equity.
Dustin flops top 2 pair or top and bottom.
That's not a good one.
Oh, counterfeited. Nope. Yeah, aces.
Yeah,
aces and kings.
Aces and kings.
Yeah, so Galoo gets the rebate, so he only loses $200, and Becca triples up.
Fortunate flop there for Dustin, but a safe river card there for Becca. You know, needed one of the 8s or 5s of the pair, and that's exactly what she gets there to triple up, and then Galoo will take the side pot here for a nice little $1,000 rebate.
Yep.
Broke even. Right? The middle was 1100 something?
Trying to think of a.
Blood dry season.
I think if Dustin wanted to isolate pre-flop, he probably should have just raised and tried it. Because once Galoo knows that them and 2 will have a side pot,
Yeah, and I flopped a pair, so I had a chance for
Galoo knows he doesn't have aces there.
And I
It
thought I
puts
had
Dustin,
6-8 in my
like now
hand.
Dustin is getting it in
I
back.
said, okay, I've
I
got
would,
2 pairs.
I would have preferred him to just isolate there and get it in the second if he's going to call.
Watching the video.
But he probably thought Galoo was going to fold if I had to guess. Be my guess.
It's good. I hope the camera's loud. I hope it's loud.
Galoo he had the hand he had, so he deduced the situation right. I think any hand besides kings there, if he had if Galoo had weak queens, like he had weak king, if he had weak queens, he gets away from there.
Yeah, and props to Galoo for finding the jam there, right? I mean, because say that he does just call and it gets that flop.
He doesn't know what to do.
Yeah, he doesn't know what to
He
do.
probably
And then the
folds.
club rolls off on the turn. Like what?
Well,
Dustin's probably still pressing. right?
The pot's so deep at that point, and honestly, because of the stack to pot ratio, the board is disconnected enough where Galoo shouldn't be going anywhere anyway. But
it's
it
still,
allows
it's still
you to,
tougher.
It allows you to make a mistake.
Yeah.
And Dustin would have bet, Galoo probably would have folded, and he would not have realized exactly. But because anytime he would have essentially got half his stack in there, the pot would have been 3K, and he only has 1,200 behind. The board is that disconnected. Queen 10-6 or Queen 8-6.
Interesting hand here. Raga with a really strong hand, strong looking hand at least. 9, 10, 7, 6.
He can get a heads up. It's I love it.
I'm surprised that, I mean, because you were talking about how anything 9 to the ace is very, very strong. And then we have suits is even stronger. Right? So I'm surprised Gary didn't raise here. Is this a hand that you elected to just call in the solve line with? Or
Gary's deep. He's out of position.
I'm actually going
So I kind of like the way he played it from the standpoint of if he doesn't think he can get it heads up.
I've never been on one, so we'll see how it goes.
Because he's deep and out of position. So
what about his decision here to pot it here on the flop? Having again almost like a hammer lock on hand, right?
Yeah.
You have top 2 pairs, nut flush draw,
That's
and
no idea how long
that's
it
kind of
is.
a
Gary's
wrap to
strategy.
Broadway.
I have the itinerary on my phone.
That's kind of Gary's strategy, and honestly, out of position, I don't even think that's wrong.
You taking another one, or you just come back?
It's one of those things where it's just there's so many things that can go wrong out of
So
position.
you
So
playing Galveston? Friday?
it allows you
Oh, okay.
because he's so deep. Say like Rye Guy's in the hand still,
I mean, Orlando, then
and the turn comes to king.
So you
And
have
now
to
he has
go
3
somewhere
pair, but
besides
now
Orlando.
there's a straight on board.
Okay.
But the hearts aren't there yet. So if
Oh,
Rye
yeah,
Guy
he
can,
doesn't have the straight.
so if
yeah.
Rye can find a bet on the turn and river, and the nuts don't change, Rye Guy can probably bluff him off.
Wow.
Yeah, you go to
So it's one of those spots where it's like
Where you know you're at, just try to get the money in now.
yeah, if he was in, that's what's so tough about playing out of position. I really don't hate his play of potting there because there's cards that you're just not gonna like, and you're out of position, so you're like, what do I do now? But he has so many outs. So even if a king comes, he just has.
So that's still my thought, right? It's like you have so much equity still.
Yeah, it's just your comfortability playing out of position. I rarely pot. I probably would have bet 2/3 to 3/4 pot. There, I still would want to lead. Like, I don't like checking. Yeah, I don't give free cards out of position. If I don't give free cards.
Super light
But I still lead. I just probably don't pot it there.
What about you? What do you think about his decision to not repop it pre-flop out of position?
Never had that happen to me. I always get there.
Rye Guy's been pretty snug.
Always.
So Rye Guy really hasn't got out of line tonight.
Whoops.
But I know Rye Guy has a pretty extensive range on the button, I probably would have 3-betted.
But I guess I see your point.
It's your comfortability out of the
Yeah, so there's still merit for just calling, right? Because if you re-raise, you open yourself to getting a 4-bet, and then you have to fold such a beautiful hand.
Honestly,
right?
when you're that deep, you have to. It's one of those spots where if you're gonna 4-bet, you have to be willing to fold to a 5-bet. So,
Or if Gary 3-bet.
yeah, if Gary
3-bet.
4-bet, right guy already 3-bet to 300.
I thought he just raised.
No, right guy 3-bet to 300.
Oh, so okay, so he had a 4-bet then.
Yeah, so if he's gonna 4-bet there, you'd be willing to 4-bet fold, because that's pretty much declaring he has aces.
I guess that's the problem of 4-betting, right? Because you open yourself to getting 5-bet, and then you have to relinquish such a strong hand.
But
Right? So
against the player I know that has a decently
balanced strategy.
range on the button, I'm probably 4-betting right guy there to one, see where I'm at, to get equity for my hand. So if he just calls, I know I have at
You're in
least
decent shape.
yeah. I'm not crushed. He can't have me crushed.
And some of your pairouts are probably low.
Yeah, because he's never gonna be at that point. He's never gonna smooth call with aces. So it's one of those spots where if you have the discipline to fold to a 5-bet, then yes.
It's a good tequila.
If you don't,
No tequila.
then just call.
No tequila.
It's one of those kind of spots.
1800 is
Interesting action here. Dustin potting the flop here, or betting large once check 2.
Oh man, I would have been embarrassed.
Turn's going to be the 7 of clubs, really not changing much. I mean, brings him to 5-6, I guess.
Dustin might just try to take this down.
All right, so Las Colinas, April 1st.
The nuts change. So now 5-6 is the nuts, and Carter checks.
Are there more tables?
Cool, but they're so actually he can't. The pot's too big. Oh, is he gonna get it in? Ships it. Does. Oh, nice. I like the play. I love the play.
Wow, a 0 equity bluff here.
I love that play.
Puts it down. Sick play here from Dustin.
The nuts change. Like if Carter had any amount of decent equity there, Carter never checks there with that much in the pot.
And that's just probably a lot of history between those two players.
Yeah, and just Dustin recognizing the situation that if Carter had, even if Carter just has the nut flush draw, no pair, and he's gonna ship it there. So it's one of those spots where once that card comes, Carter checks, and the stack to pot ratio is that low. See if you can take the pot down. Like, see if you can get a relinquish. I like that play. A lot of players don't have. I don't know if I would. I don't know if I have the balls to pull that bluff. That was a strong. That's one of those plays where I know what to do. It's like Kanish. I know all the angles.
So I mean, I think for me, I'd like to at least have like maybe a main.
There we go. That's a good turn card. It's
Well,
really
that's
good
one-
turn card.
So at least you have the top set blocker.
Remember when I was telling you
Yeah.
that in some spots blockers don't matter?
Uh-huh.
So because the stack to pot ratio is so low, right? Like the pot was 6,000. They both had like 4,000.
4,500.
Carter's never checking top set
As the kids would say,
Ever.
your range.
with the stock pay ratio that low. Ever. He's never checking enough flush draw there. If he had any, if he thought he had any amount of strong equity,
He's jamming the turn.
he's jamming the turn. Yeah, if he has,
But
if
that's
he had,
interesting, right?
if he had a
'Cause
pair of nines, he jams the turn.
wasn't Dustin driving the action on the flop though?
Yeah, but Carter has the, but because the stack to pot ratio is so low, it doesn't matter. If Carter had any amount of equity that he liked, if he had top pair there, he jams.
Wow.
It's because he only had a pair of 4s that he's like
No, he had pocket tens.
pocket 10s. He only had a pair of 10s. He was like, it's one of those spots where he's like either he's way ahead or way behind.
Okay.
So it's like
Yeah.
he doesn't know where he's at.
So yeah, Dustin's play gets exactly those hands to fold, like queens, jacks, tens.
If he knew he had, that's why he would almost want to just have a pair of 9s there.
Yeah.
Because he has other cards to hit to give him 2 pair. So with him having just 10s, a pocket pair in his hand, it's not even a big pocket pair. He has no clue where he's at. Like you said, Dustin was leading the action. So he has all the jacks through aces while you have 10s.
Huh. The PLO is such a different game. That's so
Yeah.
crazy to think about.
Yeah, so it's Dustin realizing that he doesn't have a strong hand here ever. So I might be able to get him to fold here his hand like tens.
Let's see. Looks like
a great
Galoo's
play.
driving the action here on the turn with the king high flush draw with a gut shot and
If King High flush, he has it.
king high flush. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Ben's just
Ben
doing,
raised.
yeah. Ben's just raising here.
I
with
told you,
the-
man. He finds spots
with
that
the
I'll
ace
never find. It's gonna be, it was a raised old spot.
What is
But
that?
he, actually,
Yeah,
he might have put too much in there to.
More than you normally have.
Oh, we might have to call
Yeah,
him.
and that's the importance. Of
Oh, he's
knowing-
calling. He has to call.
Yeah, he has to call. So that's the importance, though,
like
of realizing
7
where your
more.
opponent's stack depth is, right? Oh, and he might fold there, which should be the right fold because you're not beating anything.
No, he actually has the right price now at this point.
Oh, 550 to win 4,100.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, look at that. 9%.
He actually has the right price. He put himself
Yeah,
in. He put himself in a spot where he has the right price.
10 to
This is so sick.
not 9 to 1, right?
Yeah, it's a little bit under. He should have. It's
Yeah.
supposed to be
Yeah,
like
6
11 to 1 or
650 more?
something like that. But
Oh, what
it's.
a bargain.
I'm not at that when it's that like if once I've made that mistake,
That's
I'm not
1150. That's
I
5,
would- I'm
6,
just gonna
90.
go ahead call the
Alright, If I
550.
call, we put a 4 out there.
I'm not folding at that
I got
point.
4.
But yeah, again, right? The importance of knowing
Alright,
your
this is
opponent's
free
stack,
money
right?
for you.
Because
Yeah, he put himself in a bad spot to where he
Nice
has
game, well
to
played.
call.
Rick, Skitty.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Ben will find those spots. He had no blockers whatsoever, and he went for the raise, check raise there. That was,
you probably want at least like a ace
What if I
4
had the
with the
nut
queen of
flush,
hearts.
though?
Yeah.
Right?
He has
Queen
a-
of hearts.
he has the
king
ace
of
blocker,
hearts,
but not the
yeah.
right ace.
Yeah.
You need the ace of hearts, bro.
Yeah.
And then that spot versus
paying
Galoo, that's not gonna matter. He's not deep enough for you to even attempt a blocker bet, honestly.
Right. He's never folding a flush for that amount.
Not heads up.
25, right?
No.
Will you give me another crown?
But a nice pot there for Galoo, winning $4,200 pot, up about 200
Yeah,
now.
well, he needs another.
Big losers still are
I knew it
Carter
was
and
45,
Dustin.
Never call. I thought it was 25.
He
And
made
looks
up some
like
ground though.
John going by
Alright, I'm playing
JMA.
real
Dustin's
hands,
made up
guys.
some ground. He's
Only
not
real
as
hands.
bad a shape as he
A lot of my
was.
money.
He's catching back up.
Well, that pot against Carter was
See
huge.
this?
Yeah.
Right when
That was a
J-Ball
huge
shows
spot
up, I
for
start
him.
losing.
Yeah.
Having no equity there,
Yeah.
just a pure air ball.
Yeah. That's one of those things where in Carter's position, when
not gonna be able to pay rent.
once
Blind race.
once the stack pot ratio is going to be that low,
Alright,
he should
I'm
be
playing
shoving.
below that.
Like the call, what do you're calling, hoping it's a check. Like it's
Yeah.
that's one of those things where you have to have a plan when you
You're
make these
125,
when you make these
150
calls. Like
Ready.
what's your plan? Are you really just checking to
Blind,
see if
blind,
he
blind, blind.
if he
Oh, no,
if
we
he
got
slows
one in the
down?
middle of you
Like
now.
that's
Hey, does anyone have
I
a
don't.
green banana?
That's not really a
Perfect.
great thing. For a player like Dustin, if you don't tell him to slow down, he's not slowing down. He's gonna keep pushing you.
Wow, there's a very green banana there from Gary. And wow, look at this. We got a raise 25, a blind raise from Dustin, and a blind re-raise from Rye Guy to 135. So we got some action here.
We're playing
Three
it
bananas are
busy,
gross, by the way, guys.
as Carter would say.
It's gonna be. a
I'd
great
rather
banana
there
in
to
2
be
weeks,
at
man.
least. I'd rather there be some brown dots on it.
Exactly.
At least a little bit, right?
At least,
at least
you know
it's
sweet.
ripe, yeah.
At least you know it's sweet.
I got the button.
Like the
Did you feel it like a...
interesting fact,
you're
the
supposed to
banana
feel it like a
tastes
monkey?
bad for
Why
a
not?
reason. The tree doesn't want you to eat the fruit yet
Why not binding?
because it's not
It's not ready.
it's not ready. There's a reason.
J-Ball just
Another
snapped forward.
interesting fact about the banana actually. So the banana, the
Oh,
true
hold on,
banana
hold on.
flavor
Just put that one right there.
doesn't exist anymore.
Oh, I know. Yeah,
Yeah, you know about that? Okay.
Yeah, like you looked at an actual picture of a banana, they look gross.
Yeah.
An actual banana does
The
not
banana,
look.
yeah, the bananas that you have in the grocery store, that's not the banana.
Yeah.
That's not the original banana
Genetically
that, like,
modified,
yeah,
yeah.
that settlers found in
J-Ball's
Tropical
so-
Islands. Like, because
such
I
bad
think
luck for me, guys.
because, you know, obviously the people, the Europeans or whatever that went to those islands, they brought the disease and stuff. It killed off like all the bananas and
Yeah.
stuff. Or and like the the flavor of like candy,
It's so weird that
where
you
it's
wore
like
that
this
shirt.
is like flavored
Had
this
that
is
same
banana
shirt
flavor.
on before
That
today.
flavor is based off of that.
Better than me?
That's why banana
So
flavored candy doesn't taste like banana.
Exactly.
Shirt on
Yeah.
today.
That's exactly why. Yep.
Interesting.
Yeah, so that, Lauren told
I
me
didn't
that, my
know that.
fiance. The flavoring for
However,
banana and like candies, desserts, that's
Looks
based
way
off
better on
the
me.
original.
That's recipes just stuck over the years. That's
Oh,
it.
no, that's
I think they just
that's
like
mine.
weirdly
There it is.
chemically
Put that over here. Put
modify it or
That
copy
makes
it or
sense
something.
because, like, yeah, that stuff doesn't. Yeah, the candy, banana flavored candy.
Yeah, that's why.
Like,
Well, and it's funny because my fiance Lauren, she prefers that flavor too. She's like,
Yeah, I like it
she's
too.
like, I like the
Unless
flavor,
you
but
got
I know
a
that's
live
not what bananas taste like now.
I like it too. Yeah, that's what's like. This doesn't taste like a banana, but I like it.
Yeah, that's,
I didn't know
that's
that.
apparently the original banana flavor.
Ah, gotcha. It's cool. Learn something new every day.
Yep, yep. Yeah, I think there's other fruits like that too.
Alright, that was my last drink, guys.
Well, and like you kind of run into
more
it
drink.
just like with,
They'll be riding dirt.
like,
They'll
do
be
you
riding
like
dirt in the
grapefruit?
Range Rover.
One more drink, and it's my last drink.
I don't go out of my
Right,
way.
but have you ever had like an
I gotta
actually
call
sweet
this one
grapefruit?
That's the problem. I've never
Yeah,
had it.
see, that's another thing. Is the first time I had an actually sweet grapefruit was
JP's cool with it.
at Lauren's grandparents' house in Arizona because they grew a
No, no, I'm
grapefruit tree.
about to double up to Ryan here.
No,
You got
but
like
it's
9
still
for
it's still gonna be better than what you taste in the grapefruit juice.